Okay, assuming that I got my audio and everything well, we're ready to go. How do we start?
Okay, I guess we're starting now. This is uh this is episode 1 of Battle Snakes.
Because
Do you have input on that?
no.
No, oh,
So
great.
okay, so
Okay, so
do we get into it immediately on how this is a huge ripoff? Is that how
yes.
we start this?
That's
Okay.
that should be like that should be a huge disclaimer.
Do you want to do it or should I do it?
I guess I'll do it. Okay, so there's
Okay.
a podcast by a popular YouTuber, Super Rat Patch Wolf, and also other popular YouTuber Wooly Versus. They're like good friends, and they came together to make a podcast called Versus Wolves. This
That's
is a
right.
ripoff of that.
Yeah, so in that podcast, they created basically like a book club where they show up to each episode and they have a piece of media to recommend one another, and then they come back on the next episode and they talk about those things, and that's the majority of the content of the podcast. And we thought, after catching up to it individually, that it was a very fun, very interesting idea. So we wanted to do something like this ourselves. And
And we thought it'd be cool to like expand the circle of the book club.
right, right.
All in good fun and good graces here. We're not obviously not trying to step on any toes. And we think that this would be like in the spirit of what they would want, like other people recommending like close
Right.
things to each other.
Yeah, and it's like this is the parasocial relationship talking, but I kind of think that John Woolley wouldn't be the kind of guys who would see this and be like, "Oh, we gotta shut them down. They're copying our
Yeah, like oh
shit."
fuck those
Yeah,
guys.
fuck those
Yeah,
guys.
no.
I think they would kind of welcome it and be like, "Hell yeah, let's get more versus wolves inspired." Think. I mean, that's their.
Because honestly, like I feel like it's surprising how there aren't more, like
Well, if
more
there
sort of
are,
like
we don't know
offshoot
about them.
podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's what
Anyways,
we're doing. So piece of media we can recommend, like in Versus Wolves, doesn't really matter what. It can be anything from movies, TV, books, songs, albums, whatever. Even like life experiences. Even though we are not the kind of people who go out and do a whole lot of things like that. Like at one point they recommended each other martial arts. Don't know if we're gonna do that here because usually recommendations are something that you yourself have already done, and
well, those two have a very like
we'll talk.
fighting game background.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have fighting game history as well
Well, not just
as
fighting
getting
game, but they
into
love doing
martial
martial arts
arts.
IRL already.
Right. So we're just gonna get into it, and maybe we'll go on tangents and talk about other stuff. But for this week, we predetermined, like obviously at the end of each episode, we're going to get into recommendations for so you'll know what's coming. This time was just off screen. We planned this on our own in completely like in personal. Uh,
I should move the Roadhog hook so that it's like there's not this blank side of the screen.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
none of that dead space. Anyways, all right. So, do you want to have the honors of the first like getting into it?
no, actually, I don't. I think I thought about this, and I want to talk about yours first. So, obviously, it's in the
Okay.
title. It's in the title and the thumbnail. Today's episode is Gentry Chau versus the Underworld and Resident Evil Zero, or versus Resident Evil Zero, I should say. Uh, these are two very, very different properties, and we're gonna get into it. So I recommended. We didn't even do introductions. My name is Toby. I have my own YouTube channel. It's gonna be linked somewhere. It'll be in the title probably. And I'm here with my older brother, Red Fox Rara.
Yes, sir. I'm Rara. I do Twitch streams. Yeah, I'm super unique in that way, and I'm making videos. I make
Making
YouTube
videos.
videos.
All right. So I have recommended my brother Resident Evil Zero, and there is a little bit of a reason. It's not even really a reason. I just want to clarify. I recommended this not even as like a real recommendation. It was just like I want him to continue his journey with Resident Evil because he had already played original Resident Evil, like the first one, GameCube remake. And I was like, it's been a month and he hasn't even touched the next game in the series. He hasn't gone back to it at all. So I was like, let's get him going on Resident Evil Zero, because that was the second one that I played. I basically wanted to give him the same journey that I had. So
A lot of that for me, though, like before I get into that, a lot of the not continuing the rest of the Resident Evil franchise is the fact that I was doing retro achievements and playing the DS port of the original
I'm
game. I
gonna
was
have to
like, oh, I
mute.
already played Resident Evil 1, and I was just gonna keep doing that and getting all those achievements. And so I ended up playing through the DS port like a good like half dozen times, just
I'm
trying to
gonna,
get that.
I'm gonna have to mute my group chat. All right, sorry about that. I had to mute my Discord group chat real quick. As you were saying.
Right. So I just had a stipulation before we begin with that, is that the reason I had to continue the Resident Evil franchise is because I was just playing Retro Achievements, which is this really cool website. I guess I'll take a second to spot this to highlight it. I've been obsessed with it for like a good almost 2 years now. Basically, the concept is, what if old games had achievements? Before like the Xbox and PlayStation systems came in and gave you like trophy systems and like Xbox achievements. It's like, what if you could earn them in Super Mario Bros? You collect this certain rare mushroom, get an achievement, stuff like
Right.
that. It's really
Right.
cool, and I was doing this Halloween event, and I was trying to play through the Resident Evil DS port, known as Deadly Silence, which is a really interesting way to play the game. I mean, now that we're like on the topic of Resident Evil and all that,
Right.
it has these weird sort of touch control mini games where you're like slashing zombies on the screen. That it's actually kind of engaging when you really get into it and you try to like go for the high scores. But um the game is like a lesser way to play the game because it cuts out a lot of
Mm.
like mechanics and entire areas. Like the whole thing with the death masks is just gone. Like the whole
Right. Right.
underground
Yeah.
section.
You were
Yeah.
telling me about that.
Um Anyways, though, I did master that for RA for the Halloween event, and yeah, that was just a lot of November and December for me, just replaying through Resident Evil 1 like over and over again.
Right.
And that's why I didn't really get around to any of the sequels. And then after that, I was like, I don't really need more Resident Evil in my life right now.
But then I
So
came along and we came up with the idea to do this. So we're going to be
yeah.
talking about Resident Evil Zero now. Let's get into it. What did you think about Resident Evil Zero? First impressions.
Initial impressions were that I liked how it looked. I thought that, with the animated sort of pre-rendered backgrounds, I didn't understand what people meant before, but now that I've actually played through a few Resident Evil games, I get it with the with the pre-rendered backgrounds. They look so nice in the first game, but especially in Zero, where there's this movement on the train. You can feel the whole car shaking and like those little water just like vibrating when you enter the kitchen, like little droplets going down the sink. There's all sorts of like these VFX combined with like the pre-rendered backgrounds that just look gorgeous. It's a incredibly crafted 3D environment to like walk around in.
No, yeah, I mean, like I love how the game looks. I mean, I remember playing it
Oh
and
yeah.
feeling the same way, but not exactly, like not really realizing why or realizing what about it was like so different, if anything, from just
Well,
the
because
RE1 remake.
the
And
RE1
then
remake doesn't have animated
yeah,
pre-rendered
yeah, you
backgrounds.
were
Like
telling me
that
that.
hit me almost immediately where I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, this how I thought it's moving.
yeah. So no, it's really really nice, and like those cutscenes, man, those cutscenes are so like cinematic. They're so cinematic in how not only how they look, but like in how the game treats them. How they're actually made, like the camera shots that they decide to go with for a lot of them. It feels very much like a movie. Like you could cut together the cutscenes of that game and just make a movie with it.
And it's kind of off-putting how many of them there are, like coming from just playing Resident Evil 1, which has maybe 5 total cutscenes. And then you go to Resident Evil 0 and there's probably like 80 cutscenes. Like
Right,
there's
and
a
that was
lot more.
that's definitely one of the things that I liked a lot about it was like I felt like Resident Evil 1, while like a really nice game, it lacked a lot of story. It lacked a lot of like, what am I doing here? Why am I going through this mansion? Why am I killing sharks in the basement or whatever? Um, but then Resident Evil Zero, it's full of these cutscenes, and it really endears you to like Rebecca. I really like her.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
so glad that she's, I don't
I'm
know, just
still a
around.
Jill stan, but
Jill
like
Stan, that's crazy.
Rebecca's pretty cute.
And like I have a history of playing Dead by Daylight a lot. And so seeing Rebecca Chambers in that game all the time, and then finally getting backstory on her as well as Jill. And I mean, the whole reason I started playing Resident Evil was to get more info
Wesker.
about Wesker because I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
playing Wesker in Dead by Daylight. He's my main killer, and he's so much fun to play, and I got super into it. Um, and I fall in and out of phases with that game, so like I'm not always just on it. I'm actually like out of it now, but I'll come back eventually. Someday I'll come back, and it's really nice coming back and just having that context for Rebecca, for Jill, for Chris, even Sheva now. Like now that I've gotten through a lot more of the games,
We
and
have like
there's just so
our like
much.
once a year sort of phase with DBD.
Well, I definitely do. I know you kind of
It doesn't last
for
as long with me. I get
for you
burnt
it's like
out
a
pretty
week.
fast.
Yeah, for you it's like a week,
Yeah,
and for me it's like
yeah.
3 months. Usually with my buddy
I get into the
Taco.
killer cues and I feel the killer anxiety, and I'm like, why did I miss this? What was I thinking?
Yeah, I mean it's a real issue with Dead by Daylight. Unfortunately, you gotta just power through that sometimes. But it's like you ask yourself the question: is this game worth it? you know, is Dead by Daylight worth powering through for? Not really.
What's the problem? Is that like some games aren't worth it, but you do it because you like it. But Dead by Daylight is I would say the number one perpetrator of I ask that question the most. I
Is
ask,
this
is
worth
this
it?
game worth the time
Is it
to
worth it?
like and the effort to put in? Which
That's
like
fair.
whether or not it's actually like a one-to-one with like quality to effort, up for debate. But I always get down to this point where I'm like, there's a lot of diminishing returns. You know, you can
That's
play for
completely
100
fair.
hours
Yeah.
and like you can play for like 100 hours or even like 1,000 hours in Dead by Daylight and not really feel like you're getting better. Like you'll notice certain
I
things, but the rate of improvement feels bad, I think, after like a certain
Yeah, I
tapering
mean, I
off
mean, it
point.
definitely depends. Like, it depends on which killer you're playing. I like the reason I like Wesker is because he has that like, progression that just like kind of just goes up and up and up. Where like the better
Right.
you get at using his Ouroboros power, like his dashes, the more rewarding it is to play him. And
With the Wesker bounces.
yeah, with like bounces and little bugs, if you want to call them bugs. They're not really
We call
bugs.
that tech.
Well, it is tech because it has to do with how the character is programmed. Like you
Hmm.
can slide off of things because you can, like when you press the dash button, the game calculates is there something in front of you as you press the button. So if you were
Right.
to like get to across something or like move your body across something and then you press the dash button, the game is going to check in front of you in like a line. And if there's nothing in front of you in that line, it lets the dash go through. But your body physically as the character Wesker is bigger than that. Is bigger than like the line that it checks for the dash. So when you're like
Mm.
yeah, when your body collides with an object, but the dash line is clear, you end up getting pushed like to the left or to the right, depending on if you're like standing, to the left or to the right of the thing. And
And I
that's
wonder
just a
too,
really fun.
is that dash like line detection? Is that like say they move out of the line, it updates in real time, right? Or does it just calculate that
It
like
does
in
not.
the instant that he dashes?
No, yeah, it
It
doesn't
doesn't
calculate
update.
in real time at all. No, that's the reason why most of his tech works is because it does one check. It
Oh.
does one check for if this dash is clear or not. And
See
so like if you
that sounds like a lot of bullshit.
yeah, so that's why like you'll have like a wall right here and like or like walls like this and like your body physically can't go through that and I think like even if you try to just like walk through it, you wouldn't be able to get through it. But if you were to dash through it, if the dash line, I don't know how big it is, but like if the dash line is thinner than these objects, you'll go right through. Your body will just like thin up and go slide right through because the dash said, oh yeah, you can go forward. Either that or it'll push you off of one of these like sides, and like
That kind of
that's
makes
fun
sense.
too. Just sliding as Wesker. Oh, it feels so good. It feels very very nice. Anyways, enough about a bad game.
Enough about Wesker slide text. Let's just
Let's talk
get
about good
into
games.
more Resident Evil Zero.
So you
You
said
were
your
saying
initial,
my
yeah,
initial impressions of the game. I didn't love a lot of the actual gameplay itself at the start.
really,
I felt like the zombies were a sort of non-factor, but I think that's just because I've gotten better at playing the game. Like I've learned sort of like if there's not a zombie in your direct line of sight, like in your blocking the path, skip it. Don't
Yeah.
waste ammo on zombies. You know, like I learned,
Well, are you talking
like
about on
don't
the
waste
train?
ammo. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
don't waste ammo. Don't waste healing items. I've been now that I'm Resident Evil brained. Resident Evil Zero is just an immediate like, can I apply all these skills? And
Yeah.
it did help. I just felt like they weren't like innovating a lot. And then we get to playing as Billy as well, like getting two characters,
Right.
and that's where the innovation comes in. You know, I was frustrated that there was only 6 slots for items, and I was like, oh, maybe the game is rebalanced around the fact that you only have 6 slots this time instead of like the option between 6 and 8, and storage bins. No, it's a balance on the fact that you have 2 players with 2 separate inventories. Um, but even that is a whole can of like I really don't love the system. Just like
Really?
yeah, well, it's nice because you can use items when you pick them up. That is great. If you have a full inventory of 6 items for your character, you can pick something up and then just continue to use it anyways. Um,
Yeah.
but leaving shit on the ground is annoying. I don't like that because
Really?
because over time I forget. Like if I left something in say the mansion area, like the training facility, a week later, as I'm still playing the game, I will totally have forgotten about that. I
See,
feel like there's a ton of items I must have dropped
that's
and just never went back for.
that is super interesting because I think a lot of people, I guess myself included, would say that the item dropping mechanic is kind of like integral to that game. Like it's really like it's one of the maybe
No,
not
it is.
integral, maybe not
It
integral,
is. I
but
just
it
don't
is
like
one of
it.
the things. It's one of the things that people like about the game is that like especially when you compare those two games that came out in the same year, the RE1 remake and Resident Evil Zero. RE1 was so frustrating because you had to get to an item box. There was no other option. But then in Zero, you can just drop stuff. You can just clear up your inventory at any time. You can just drop it, leave it anywhere. And that was a really, for the time, revolutionary and like
Well, my
just an
thing is that
awesome, nice thing to be able to do, and it frees you up so much for the rest of the game.
Yeah, one of my weaknesses is my ability to keep like a spatial memory. Like I'm bad at remembering where to go, and
Right.
especially in these Resident Evil games where every single room is blocked off by a loading screen. It takes me a long time to really learn the layout. Like I cannot tell you how many times I was confused about the train. Even just going down a straight line. Like
What?
there's like there's like 3 or 4 cars in the middle of the train that are just like a straight line from like thing to end and nothing you can do with like the side doors. So you're just walking. And I was like, is it 2 train cars? Is it 3? I think the answer is it's 4. I still don't even remember. I just know it's like every time I was kind of surprised by how many train cars lengths it was.
Interesting. Well, you have the
But
map.
yeah, no,
Didn't
like
that?
you do have the map, and I had to rely on that so much. Like when I started really getting into it in the training facility, I used the map constantly. Like I wouldn't even go through a door without checking the map just to make sure I knew where I was going. Because it's punishing in Resident Evil because you got to wait through the entire door cutscene, and then if it's the wrong door, you got to go back, and then you got to
Yeah.
wait through another
God,
cutscene, and then you got to go to the other door and wait through another
the
cutscene,
door
which
cutscenes are
isn't.
crazy.
It's not ideal.
Yeah,
Um,
that's one of those things. But
And
after
and
the
if you,
train,
like I was saying, for me, like I forget where I am
okay.
in the space. I have a hard time like visually compartmentalizing exact areas of the map sometimes. And I did get it. Like I'm not like completely disabled in that regard. I can learn the layouts. It just took a while for each area.
Yeah.
Um, and especially like if I get to a new area and then leave an item there, I will forget how to get back to the area. Even if I can
Hmm.
see the map, like once you get like 10 screens away, the
Well,
whole thing is just lost in my mind.
you can sort the map for items. Like
No, I
you
know I
can
know you can see it,
yeah.
but that's why I tried not to drop a lot of things on the floor.
Hmm.
Because I just didn't want to have to keep backtracking to areas where I knew that I had left something, right?
Right, right.
Although
So,
at the end, it almost felt integral. Like the last like 5 or 6 hours, it felt like in every area you had so much shit and so many key items. You gotta have healing, you gotta have ammo, you gotta have different like weapon types for enemies. Um, so it became this thing where like I would leave this specific thing here and I might need it, but then I would leave this key item here because I'm leaving it in a spot where I know it'll be useful later. and that
Right.
became like the gameplay for a while,
Right.
which
Right.
I think is bad. I mean, honestly, I'd rather just take a big inventory,
Hmm.
because a lot of it really just does come down to, oh, I have this right thing at the right time, and I have the inventory space for it, so now I can bring it to the right place, which is just backtracking. Like that's backtracking with extra steps. If they had just
I
given
don't.
you a bigger inventory, you
I
could
don't
just
think that
take the things and not waste time.
I kind of feel like I didn't have that issue. I don't really. You're saying that what, like, you're talking about like keys and stuff that you need to like progress?
Like, it didn't happen like a whole hell of a lot, but there were certainly situations where I would choose to drop like my pistol ammo for a minute and then
Yeah.
go somewhere not using a lot of pistol ammo and then being like, oh, okay, now that I'm like one key item shorter, I can pick my pistol ammo back up. That just never felt good to me, you know?
Right. I don't know. I guess I didn't really feel like I had so many issues with inventory in that game, especially because you had the two characters. I always kind of felt like I had like one slot open on
Well,
everybody
maybe
or on
it's my
both of them.
system. Maybe it's like the system that I developed, but I felt like I was always unoptimally using my inventory because the way I did it was, um, I had Billy. He was holding the shotgun and the grenade launcher, so he
Right.
only had two slots for anything else because
Oh
those are
yeah, no,
double like
that's
sized
I think
inventory
that's what it
things.
is. I think that's what it is. I don't think I used the grenade launcher because I think like after I used it like the first couple times it was
Well,
because you get it in the church, right?
the no, you get it in the training facility.
Okay. Okay, I think like a little bit after the church because all I know is I used it. I picked up like the fire ammo that's in the
You
church.
didn't use it to kill the bat?
No, I did. That's what I'm saying. So like I think in the
Oh,
church
okay.
you go into that safe room and there's fire ammo for your grenade launcher in the church, and then
Right. Yes.
you can use
Yes.
that to fight the bat. And I think after that I like I dropped it. You know what? I did. I dropped it in that like sewer area, like that one.
Oh, like
It's in
in
the it's
between the
in
training
the
facility and the.
yes, that
I know
like
what
with
you
the
mean.
big
I know what
where
you
the
mean.
pool drops down. You know, it's got like that
Yeah.
pool. Yeah. I just left it there because I didn't really felt like I needed it. And then yeah, the
But
rest
you
of the
can use it
game.
like they give you enough incendiary and sulfuric acid shots to like you can get like 30 more shots with a grenade launcher
I don't
past the
think you need
church.
it. I didn't have issues without it. I mean, the shotgun, the pistol, you know, having more inventory space. I think it's a perfectly fine experience without it.
That's interesting because like I had Rebecca, she had the ink ribbons, right? That's one
Right.
slot. She had the pistol and the pistol ammo because you got to have the ammos with the guns. Um, and then she had the Magnum at the end and the Magnum ammo.
Hmm.
And then like, and
Where'd
then
you
if I
find the?
ever found herbs, I would have Rebecca drop the Magnum real fast, combine the herbs, and then get like a red green herb combo, and then pick the stuff back up. Because and then I always gave Billy the first aid spray since he can't craft the herbs anyway.
Right. I don't know that I had. I don't know that I found the Magnum in that game. Where
What?
do you remember?
No,
Do you remember where?
it's something
Is
that
it
you get
necessary?
like along the I
No, because the Magnum in RE games are like the power weapon. They're like the, you know, they're usually they're optional and like you can find them along the way, but and they're really fucking
oh.
strong. But yeah, you don't need them. I think I didn't get it in that game.
I got it because like I got the ammo at the same time I got like this like aluminum case, which I never opened by the way. I don't
Yeah,
know what's
yeah.
in that case. Did you
That's
open that?
interesting. I don't know. I have no idea. It's been long enough. I don't remember. But I love that about RE games, and I also hate it where like there's sometimes you can find something and you'll spend the whole game thinking I'm gonna use this somewhere, and then you just don't, and you like I
Yes,
don't know where
yes.
this was supposed to go. It was
That's the most frustrating aspect for
in,
me.
in RE1 the broken shotgun. I kept trying to find things to do with it. Like can I use it as like fuel for the fire? Like I don't know. It looked wooden. I was thinking
I
wood
had that
fire.
thought too. I
Yeah,
kept trying shit.
I just kept trying
And then
stuff
I
with that.
realized like
RE
and then,
Zero
but
does the same thing.
what made that specific thing click for me with the wooden shotgun is I realized people have told me that there's only one way to get it on the Chris playthrough because you don't have Jill with you on the Chris
Hmm.
playthrough. and you don't get Rebecca till you make it to the second safe room. So you have to get the shotgun somehow without a second person. So I was thinking,
right, yeah.
how
No,
am I going to do this by myself?
Right.
Like you can do that with Jill too, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can get the
leave
broken shotgun with Jill and use it appropriately.
Yeah.
And that kind of trains you for the Chris playthrough,
But
but
then
nobody's going to do it that way.
Then you don't get
Nobody's going to do it that
line.
way. They're going to get the Jill sandwich cutscene.
Yeah. Well, even though it's not in that game, but
it's not in the remake now, but we know.
So anyways, another aspect of RE0, like we said, the cutscenes. What did you think about most of the cutscenes? Like what they were trying to portray?
A lot of them were pretty interesting. I feel like this game. Okay, let's go through these in a
break it down.
Order.
Hold on. Okay. Okay. So there's basically 3 different kinds of cutscenes. There's the villain cutscenes with the James Marcus, the guy who I put in the thumbnail, and then there's Leechman, and there's the Wesker and other scientist cutscenes. There's more than one, right?
There's a few. There's like 3 or 4.
Okay, and then there's the Billy flashbacks, which I think it's one flashback, deep into the game.
I would add a 4th.
And then, really?
Well, because there's a lot of cutscenes. It's just bonding between Jill and Billy.
Right. Okay, that's true.
What's her name?
That's a good point. Billy and Rebecca.
I could not remember Rebecca. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good point. Maybe even cut out Billy out of the sections just because he has one flashback, but then he also they revise it later.
We only get the one flashback scene of him in the jungle.
But then they recontextualize it later. They play the same thing again, and they talk more about it. Are you sure?
Unless I missed a cutscene somehow.
I could have sworn it's they talk about his backstory. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they talk about his backstory, and then later on they show the whole thing.
They allude to the fact that he murdered people, and then you get the context for it in the cutscene.
Yeah, and then and then you watch it, and then you're like, oh, he did it for a good reason, and he's a good guy.
No. He did it for the bad reason of his captain just gave him the orders to, and he was just a soldier following orders. There's no good reason. Whoa. It was a evil. It was a neutrally
he's not
gray thing to do.
But you think that he's okay, but you think that he's just an evil guy, and then you watch it and the cutscene, and you're like, he's not really evil. He's kind of a good guy.
No, in the cutscene, you know he didn't want to do it. He makes it pretty
really
clear
didn't want to do it.
He did not want to do that. And but it's what do you do in they're in the middle of the African jungle, and they're told to shoot down a village of people.
Yeah, and the game definitely makes you feel
are you supposed to talk back to your commanding officer in wartime? No.
No, I mean the game the feeling of the game. The feeling of the game in that cutscene is Billy's a good guy. That's what they're trying to tell you, is that this whole time he's been this suspicious mass murderer or whatever. Rebecca's trying to hunt him down even. She's just using his help for now until they can get out of the situation, and then they can reprimand him, right? But then you get to his backstory, and then all of a sudden the game's tone changes on him, and they're like, "No, Billy's chill. Billy's a good guy,"
But, I kind of felt he was good for a while though, because his disposition is I was gonna say that he was a soldier before they even said he was a soldier, because he came across as this guy who's very just logic based. He's I will do this as the means to an end so that I can not die, and I will go along with what needs to be done. That is the kind of aura, that's the kind of feeling I got from him, because he was never rude to Rebecca. He was just we both got to survive. Let's do this. And I was that's the kind of guy I could totally fuck with. I get along with people like that who are just let's get to the end point. Let's do what we got to do. And so I never really got the idea that he was evil per se, or a bad person. And he did a bad thing.
Well,
but
I mean, because Rebecca
I'm not going to hold that against him.
Rebecca is so against him for half the game. She's you're a bad guy. I can't be siding with you. As soon as we're done here, you're cooked, brother. That's her vibe the whole time. And I still love her.
she's like the star's upstart combat medic who's all,
Yeah.
cute and innocent and just vibrant. And he's this hardened dude with tattoos who was being escorted on like this prison van.
Yeah, but like it is kind of like funny and like maybe not super well written. How like as soon as he tells her the backstory, she's just like, "Oh my God, you've been a good guy this whole time. I'm so sorry." It's like
Like he could have been
well,
lying. You don't.
yeah,
He
he
could
could
have
have
been
been
playing his
lying
whole
or
time for sympathy. I still feel like though that she got what I got. Like she felt his like natural life disposition of like
yeah,
she
yeah.
she kind of knew he was good without him saying it. You
No, I
know.
mean you can tell a person's like aura, someone's
And
you can get
you
a
could call
feeling
that
for a person.
naive, right? But like I would rather be like hopefully naive than just like cynical of everybody.
Well, okay, if a person is honest, if a person is genuine about who they are, you can tell they're like you can tell who they are kind of almost immediately. Like you can get that like kind of aura. But if someone is like a sociopath who's like lying through their teeth, then obviously you're
You
not
can't
gonna
tell.
know. So
Yeah.
I think he
It's just
was he
weird.
was
It's
just
like
upfront about kind
I
of
know
who
that
he
we're getting
was.
into like psychology and like kind of off topic a bit, but it is weird how like there's a lot of online discourse about this, about like whether or not you can tell a person, right? And then it's like people get all up in their feelings about being betrayed. It's like I should have known, but it's like no,
No, if someone's
you
hiding it
can't
and
really know sometimes.
if someone's good at hiding it, then no, you're not gonna know.
Yeah, it's like you can't think about it as like, oh, my best friend, they betrayed me, they stabbed me in the back, or like, oh, like, um, my parents. Like, you can't think any specific kind of way about knowing people because people are, how should I say it?
Unpredictable. I don't know, a
Yeah,
billion different words.
unknowable. I would say, like, you may know
Unknowable.
what is like in here, but you don't know what other people's in here is like.
Well,
You know.
you'll never really know a person. That's just a fact, you know.
That's true. That's true. And we have this weird like empathy invasion where people are like, "Oh, I'm empathetic. I get people." No, you don't.
Yeah, well,
Those people are snakes. Those people are snakes in
I
sheep's
no,
clothing who are
I don't
lying to you
I
for
don't think
sympathy and
I
to
don't
get you to like them.
I don't think entirely. Like I think it is just what I said. Is if a person is being honest about who they are, then yes, you can know people like, you know, on a vibe. But there's a lot of people who don't portray themselves honestly. So the vibe you get from them might be like, "Hey, this Dexter guy is pretty chill," you know. But then, he's the Bay
Right.
Harbor Butcher, and
And I just want to say real fast that I mean specifically people who are like they call themselves an empathic person, or they're like they get when if somebody tells you they can just feel the other person's like feelings and emotions, back away. Back away slowly.
I don't. It depends on what context you're talking about. I don't know what you. I'm not sure really what you're
I
talking
feel like
about.
I feel like a lot of people like if you coming from my like POV, people who like know these kinds of people IRL, they already get it, and maybe you just have to like experience that for yourself. I don't know.
But okay, what do
I mean, I
they
could be
mean?
overgeneralizing too.
What do
Huh?
they mean then? Like when they
What do you
say
mean?
they can just tell. I don't think I get this. I don't think I understand
They,
this.
they mean that they can just tell how you're feeling, like what you should be like thinking almost. Like
Right.
they
Okay.
just get
So they're
you
not saying
in
that
your
they can
emotion.
like they're not saying they pick up a vibe from you. They're saying they understand what you're thinking inside.
No, yes, and like they can understand your emotions, but just like they can feel it through you,
Hmm.
like and then like they're like, oh, I feel so strongly for other people. Like, like when somebody's feeling sad, I cry too. And it's like, yeah, I can get that to a degree if it's like your best friend and like their mom dies, like I'll be really torn up about my best friend's mom because I probably know her pretty well at that point. We've known each other for forever. She's like a second parent. But like I don't know. There's a lot of situations where somebody can take advantage of like that quote unquote empathy to feel closer to you in a way. And it's like this is mainly just could be coming from like a core of like being backstabbed by people in the past. Like having that like in me. I have felt betrayal like that where I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
should have known, right? And I just feel like it's a common sentiment online. There are these empathic people they're always like the
Or-
least empathic people, you know?
yeah, I mean,
The first to jump the gun, the first to get hot-headed. But anyways, let's bring it back to Resident Evil Zero. We've exhausted this conversation topic. Let's reel it back in a little bit.
okay, so we were talking about. Let's talk about Wesker. Wesker is fucking cool in this game, even though he's not really in it. He's not really in this game. He's only in the cutscenes.
Yeah, he's only in like 3 different cutscenes.
Yeah,
It's not a lot. He's not really like a
But,
main
like,
player. But
just-
the thing
he's
about
just,
Wesker is that most
like,
of his
oh.
backstory comes from the notes.
yeah, and it's like I
Yeah,
don't know.
or
Just
you-
when you see him, he's just got it, man. He's just that fucking dude. He's like
Yeah.
you love him. I don't know. I can't even explain it. You like to see him. And he's just such a villain, you know. And he's got that aura.
Yeah.
He's almost like Dio in JoJo. He's
Well,
just
it's because like even if nothing's happening, you know, even if he's just sitting there making a sandwich, you're always thinking in the back of your head, is this the thing that turns him? Like, is this the moment, right?
Right, 'cause
Where
like, I
he's
mean-
like, oh, he put too much peanut butter on the one spread. Fuck.
oh,
Like
God.
that's just his bad day.
Yeah, well,
Or are
it's-
you- it's
only
'cause
really
you're thinking
applies-
that, or you're also thinking at the same time, like, has he always been like this? You know, you're
Right.
trying to see the origin of like where he turns.
Right, and so what I really like, this is the game, right, where the notes that you're talking about are talking about the rivalry between him and Birkin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And like they're
just-
sort of like training in the training facility, and like how they
Yes.
were put like under Marcus.
right,
And then
okay,
it's sort of like them, like as the notes go on, it's sort of like they're following Marcus, and then Birkin starts to see that like Marcus is kind of insane.
Mhm.
So they then as the notes go on, they sort of form like a coup, you know, with like
Yeah.
we gotta betray Marcus.
Well, a coup, but then also like there's the dichotomy, if I'm remembering right, that like Birkin is like the well studied, kind of like worked for everything, worked for all of his accomplishments, but then Wesker is like the what would you call it? Like the just like the talented. He's got
Yes, Wesker has like raw combat potential
he's
and
got
like
a-
soldier potential. Like
well,
he'll
and, like,
listen
a
to
genius mind. He has like a
Yeah.
genius mind, and he's got the talent, like natural born, just talent in like his brain. But then Birkin has worked for everything and is like is also naturally intelligent, but like he's put in all the work to get there, you know. And then Wesker's kind of like a prodigy. I guess is kind of the word I was looking for. And so you've got this dichotomy where like Wesker wants all the power. He's all in his head. He's like, how can we use Marcus's like studies for our own growth and our own accomplishment and you know, future plans. And then Birkin is kind of like this, almost like a tragic victim in how this plays out, in just being like kind of like the good guy. Like Marcus is insane, as you find out as you play Zero, and then Wesker is also insane, and they're both going on different insane paths, and he's kind of like trapped in this old rivalry he used to be in, and I don't know what were your thoughts about like this whole about Marcus as a villain?
It was interesting to see the origins of the T-virus, right? We got like the
Yes.
proto-tyrant and all that, and like all these other experiments, like the monkeys, and just like all the other types of things that happened on the way to making the T-virus. I just feel
God, those
like
monkeys are so annoying. The monkeys suck.
they're insanely strong,
Dude.
Like they're bullet sponges who do a lot of damage, and they attack
ridiculous.
fast. It's like I
Like,
did
even
not
with
like them.
the shotgun kills them in one
Oh,
shot
yeah,
or two
no.
two shots.
They're-
But like
they're annoying.
they're annoying in the sense that like because of
They
the
always come in
game.
packs.
Well, yeah, and because of like the tank controls and like the game engine, you can barely aim at them fast enough before they jump on you. It's so annoying to deal with them, and like you're running through the halls, and that's the part when I was playing this game that I think you had like walked in on me playing it, and I was like, dude, this part is so annoying. Like I'm trying to do this like time trial, because you remember that part where it's timed, right? Where like you're running to save.
Right, you have to save Rebecca. in
Yeah,
the
you're
pit.
running to save Rebecca. Yeah, and I'm running to save her, and I can't get her because the monkeys keep jumping me as I'm walking through the halls, and I'm trying to save ammo because you have to get to the room where there's like 3 of them. And then you
My
have to
problem
deal
is
with
that
3 of them at
I
a time.
almost lost that. I almost lost the save sequence because I didn't. I did it the first time, but I
I didn't
almost
know where
lost it because I thought you had to go to the room where she fell in, like the pit, and
Yes,
like pull
yeah.
her up,
No,
right?
that's the problem. That's the
Right?
problem. I
So I
had
went to
no
that room
idea.
and I killed all the fucking monkeys, but she was just like, Billy, I need help
Yeah,
over
but
the
I
radio. And
yeah.
you're like, oh, I can't save you.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the problem. I did that sequence like 5 times. Like I failed it so many times.
Five
Because I
times.
didn't know where to go.
You didn't.
Maybe it wasn't 5. Maybe it wasn't 5.
Well, for me, it's like after I tried over and over again for like a good 2 minutes, and like the music was getting more intense, or like I thought it was. I was like, all right, there must be another way down there, like to get to underneath, like where she
I
is.
I think that I kept thinking there was a puzzle I could do. Like there was some kind of like item I had to find, like a rope or something.
Initially I thought, okay, I can't pick her up, so I scoured the room and I tried to pick up every single one of those chains in
I
the
think
floor, like
there's
in all the ropes.
I think the problem is that there's something in the room that makes you think you're supposed to use it.
Oh yeah.
There's
Well,
like a
there's like a
rope or a
rope
chain.
connected to a chain or like some kind
Yeah.
of thing where you're like, oh, I could throw this down the hole. I could totally like climb out of it.
It's so that is so
Because you're
frustrating.
in like this, you drop into like this BDSM like torture chamber. Okay, not
Yeah.
even BDSM, just like
So
straight
it's
up torture chamber,
so okay,
like a
people might be a
medieval
little
one.
somebody might be a little bit lost. So yeah, you're in this like big giant training facility and then you travel underneath it. So this whole sequence we're talking about is in like an underground, like literally, like if you've seen like a thing where like there's this mansion, rich people, and they've got like a statue and like they move the statue and there's like a hidden staircase. It's that thing. It's exactly just that. And so like you move the statue, go down the hidden staircase in this like giant mansion training facility thing, and then there's this huge underground laboratory. I mean, it's not like the laboratory of the game, but it's like its own special lab, I guess. And so yeah, you go down there, and there's mutant fucking monkeys, just like these T-virus infected monkeys that are jumping around. And oh, isn't that there's also like giant spiders in there too, right?
There is giant spiders
Yeah,
in
giant
around that zone.
like
Yeah.
literally like I don't know, like
There's the
cow
hunters.
sized. Like yeah, like cow-sized tarantulas in these hallways, and you're just walking through this thing, and then yeah, Rebecca falls herself down a hole. I forget exactly how, but she falls down a hole and she's screaming for you over the radio, "Billy, come help me," because I guess you guys were separated at that point. And then you have this timed sequence where I don't know how long they give you, like 2 minutes or 5 minutes or something, and you're supposed to run
Kind of
from
generous,
wherever.
honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of generous, but you're supposed to run from wherever you are through hallways and rooms with like
Back to
mutant
where you
monkeys.
started in the training facility, and then you got to go down to the boiler room.
Yeah, and you have to. Okay, and that's the thing I couldn't figure out is that the room that she falls in. I think maybe we already just said this, but yeah, the room she falls in is not the same room that you have to go. So you start in one location, like a third location. I kept thinking I had to go to Rebecca's location, but you actually have to go back up through the hidden staircase. Now, if you're following along with me, if you've never played this game, like I was just telling you, mansion, rich people, hidden staircase. I didn't think, like, when you're at this part of the game, I thought everything was going to happen in this under part, in this,
no,
like,
totally.
the hidden staircase. That's why you found it. But you actually have to go back up, and you have to just go to, like, a previous boiler room that you had been in at some point.
Because, like, let's just get to the crux of this issue and why it's so confusing. And this must be, like, a lifelong thing for people who have ever played the game. You would not think to save somebody who's fallen down a hole by going underneath the hole. You would go above the hole and try to pull them out with, like, a rope or something.
Yeah.
And there are ropes in the room. There are chains and ropes and things you could throw down the hole that she could grab onto. So, like, why would you go underneath the fucking hole? It doesn't make sense.
And this isn't even like us saying we don't like the game. I like this game a lot, but that is like the sequence that I really struggled with. That is the worst part.
And also, like, I don't even remember how he saves her. Because, like, saying it out loud, like, what was the reason why he had to go under the hole?
Doesn't she just drop? Doesn't she just drop and he catches her?
I feel like he just kind of
catches her.
But I can't.
I
Does he
think
catch
he
her?
just catches her. I think that's all there is to it.
She could have.
I don't know.
She could have lived. Like she would have been fine from that drop, probably. Maybe like sprained an ankle.
I don't know
I
how
don't
we
know.
got on. I don't know how we got on that part. What were we talking? We were talking about what, Wesker and
Things, Wesker. The things about the game. I don't know.
oh, we were
Maybe I
talking about
should say.
Marcus, maybe.
Oh right, we were talking. I was saying that I find Marcus to be interesting, but the game has like a lot of magic to it, sort of. Like I don't feel like a lot of the what's the word, like the concepts presented in Resident Evil Zero. This does not feel like the same kind of game as Resident Evil One. You
Really?
know, Resident Evil 1 to me is grounded in this sense where it's like, yeah, it's zombies and they're like zombie dogs and spiders and
And
all
the
that, but
lizards, the
it's
hunters.
yeah, like the hunters and all that, but it's still just like the T virus, like they concocted a virus in a lab that makes zombies. That's like within
And
like the realm
giant
of like
leaping lizards.
this. Yeah, that okay, but that's within the realm of like this makes sense. And then Resident Evil Zero has um slugs you control through opera singing that can revive people
Leeches. Yeah.
from the dead who have been dead for decades.
Well, was he dead or
And
I
are
thought
just
he
like
was?
this.
I thought he was
No, he
doing
was
like.
dead.
I thought he was age persevering. Like I thought he was reverse aging.
No, the slugs actually revive his cells. Like he comes back to
Hmm.
life and then they make him young
Oh,
again.
and then they also do reverse aging.
Yes,
Okay.
also
Yeah.
that. And the slugs themselves are like this. You never even get a real good grasp of what they are. They're just slugs that kind of evolve and they're like this malleable, watery liquid, but also they can bring people back to life and they can de-age you
Well,
somehow.
I think
Even if you could reconstruct the molecules of your body, there's just some shit that ain't
some
adding
of
up
it,
here for me.
some of it's in the notes, isn't it? I think like you find notes throughout the game that have to do with the leeches. I think there
You do
is
find notes about the leeches, but it's like
there's some
it says
form of
that they're like
explanation.
it says that they're adaptable, that they kind of evolve, and that they're like aggressively hungry. And so like they start off sort of eating anything in sight, and then they'll like to the point where they'll eat each other to grow. And then they realize that if they eat each other, they lose each other. And then it kind of becomes like a hive mind where they're like, we can't eat each other anymore. We got to keep growing. But that I never get from that the ability, like from those notes, you never get the idea that these slugs are magic.
Right.
I get that maybe they're infested with zombie virus and that they can sort of like coalesce to form shapes, kind of like Spider-Man from Spider-Man comics. But like,
yeah.
I never get the idea that they're magic, and I don't know. Just also Marcus just showing up the first time you see him with the opera singing and controlling the slugs. It's weird.
It's honestly I love it. It's so over the top.
No, I love it
Oh
too.
my god.
But I
Because
think I
he's just
only
like
love it because I am used to. I've played Parasite Eve, is the thing.
right.
Parasite Eve is another like sort of this, I don't know, Y2K sort of Matrixy style like 2000s PlayStation-y GameCube game.
Yeah, it's got that vibe.
Yeah, it's just got that. The whole vibe of Resident Evil Zero reminds me of Parasite Eve, and not to mention they both have like strong connections to like opera, and just it's like it's weird. I'm sounding like a total like off the rails like nut job here, but it's there's a connection there. There's a
Connection between
there.
Parasite Eve and Zero.
And Resident Evil Zero, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe opera singing was like I think people just really wanted to use organs in like horror music of survival horror games at the time. So they're just like, oh, this would go well with that, and it is
like,
creepy,
villains,
like in the right context.
Yeah, I mean, like there is kind of like that established history with like, like I don't know, like vampires and like the Oregon, and it just it's always kind of
you
been
don't see
like
that a lot
thing.
anymore.
Yeah. And one that's really like Marcus, he is kind of like vampiric in that sense that he's just like this ageless
he's
being.
kind of resurrected and undead.
Yeah, he's like this beautiful, like 20-year-old like twink, and he's, he's just like a vampire man.
That's also a part of it too. Is that not only is Marcus's acting just awful, just utterly dog shit, but he looks like a Sephiroth like anime
Yeah, yeah,
protagonist guy, like this beautiful anime character in Resident Evil where they don't look like that. Like for the
yeah.
most part, nobody looks like how Marcus looks, and it pulls me out like every scene he's in.
but, but I like ironically, it's so good.
Oh, and this has nothing to do with anything we were just talking about, but we were talking about cutscenes a while back ago. There's a really funny cutscene that's like 5 seconds long, like of Billy. He's like looking at a photo of Marcus, and he's like, "Oh, depending on the age, that could be his son or grandson," and that's it. That's the entire cutscene. Like it just fades in. He says that, it fades out. It's like, what the fuck? All
What was,
right,
what was
because
that?
it feels like a really young version of Marcus, where you're like, "Oh, that could be him." Or I mean, that could be like his grandson
Because
from like a while ago, or whatever.
they'd already figured out that he's like an old man, but he
Yeah, they'd
looks
already
weird or
established he's an
something.
old guy, and like there's like the
Yeah,
photo of him, so they
and
know what he
they're
looks
trying.
like.
Okay, so they're trying to figure out why he's young. Yeah.
But now that I say that out loud, that doesn't even work. Because like in the context of the game, that doesn't even work, does it? Because
I
they
have no
don't
idea.
know. They haven't even seen him up to that point. I don't. Or actually, no, they've seen him once, maybe. I don't know, but I like they could have just seen that photo and thought like, oh, that's an old version of him. Why would you think that's his son? You know,
Right.
like why wouldn't you immediately think that is an old version of Marcus from when he was young, rather than thinking this is a new photo of
Wait,
his son?
what do you mean an old version of him from when he was young? What?
Like the photo was taken a long time ago, hence it's old, but it would be him when he's young. That's what I mean.
But they already know that
Because
but they've only seen him in the present as being young. So how could that possibly like how
right,
could the person in
right.
the photo possibly be
But then
him?
either way, you must be thinking like, how does this young guy have a grandson, or even just a son? Like as he's
Right.
presenting himself, he looks like he's maybe 30. You
Yeah.
know, maybe 20s, like late
I
20s. I would have
I don't know.
thought
I don't know. We okay, so let's
Marcus
get
is
back on
bad.
track. What the cutscenes we were talking about? We talked about the different kinds of cutscenes, which was like the story cutscenes with Marcus, with Wesker, and Billy and Rebecca. I feel like Billy and Rebecca are a nice pairing. I really liked. I don't know whatever dynamic they've got going on where Rebecca's like, you're a bad guy and I can't trust you, and then he's like, oh,
But I
but
kind
maybe
of
you
want you.
can, and then she's like, maybe I can.
But you're
It's
like,
so
he's actually got
simple.
a nice
It's
heart.
yeah. I don't know. We don't have to go on
I
about it for
think
too
that
long, but
Yeah, I just want to say real fast, I did have a thought. I feel like that dynamic was really popular around that time, where it's like,
really,
oh, there's this like unchained bad boy, and like she's like, oh, I
yeah,
don't know, but like he's kind of hot though, and he's
but
nice.
kind of though, but maybe, ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's like the '90s bad boy who has a heart of gold, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and I like it. I think
I
it's like
mean,
that's a trope that could come back.
their interactions are kind of what sell the game, I think. Like I honestly I
Oh
really
yeah,
like just seeing them. I just like Rebecca, you know? I would have liked to see more Rebecca in Resident Evil games.
he's very endearing.
Just period.
I don't know. I mean I like her a lot, and I want to say that I'm still like have a Jill preference. Maybe it's just that I find Jill to be just fucking hot.
Hmm.
I don't know what it is. Um,
I hope that's not
Jill
shaking my
does
mic.
something for me.
Jill does something. And then okay, so I guess if there's one other thing, the bat, I mean, we've talked about this a little bit off screen, I think, but like the bat fucking sucks. Like as far as like the whole game, I think we've done a lot of like dissecting parts we don't like. On the whole, do you agree that like this is a good game and that like most of the
Oh,
sections are fun?
yes, I see. Look, in the beginning, I thought this game sucked. I was trying to play it for retro achievements because I was like, if I'm gonna play it, I might as well get some of those. I'm not like going out of my way to get any, but just like having that playthrough like logged there. I like playing games of retro achievements because like you get an achievement and then it's got the date, so you remember the playthrough. You can like put a time to it, that kind of
Right.
thing. Like for like backlog stuff and like making lists and like making sure that things are noted. But when I was playing through the game, I couldn't get it to work on like the Dolphin emulators. So eventually, I just caved and I started playing it on Steam.
Yeah.
And what was I saying about Steam?
What do you mean? Wait, you were
What was I
saying
just about to say? I like totally lost the train of thought. Like I finished out one part and it was like the rest is just gone.
we um
um.
we'll have to
Okay,
cut
hold on. What
back
was
when
I
we
saying?
remember.
What was I? Yeah, what was I saying? We'll figure it out and then I like start from there.
What were we talking about? Like you went on
I was
this.
talking about
I was trying to
right
listen to
about
what you
how
were
I
saying
how
about.
about how I was playing it on Retro Achievements first, and then I started playing it on Steam.
What was the root
Oh,
of
okay, yeah.
that?
So I got it, I got it. So and basically like my thought at the beginning was that the game looked nice, but it was like frustrating. I didn't like
Right.
controlling two characters. I didn't like the buddy system. Um, I didn't like how the inventory was, even from the beginning, because like I was just I'm bad at managing it. I know it's a skill issue, but I'm bad at managing the inventory. And when I needed to get that freaking hook shot, I was like, okay, this sucks, but I'll put like something on the floor to pick up the hook shot. And then I try to go for it. It's like you can't pick this up. This is a 2 block item. I'm like, what? And
Yeah.
then when I got introduced to the concept of 2 block items, I was like, oh, you fuck you, dude.
Well,
I
they
already
had
have
that.
issues with the
Well, they
inventory.
had that in one, didn't they?
No,
Two block items, like the grenade launcher wasn't
no.
two.
There's nothing in Resident Evil 1 that's 2 block. At least as far as I can tell. If anything, the grenade launcher must be the only one, but I don't even
I
think it
think it
is.
is. I felt like the shotgun was too. I don't know, man.
I might be going crazy. Like some people
Okay,
were screaming
but
at me in the shit, but I don't know. It
anyway,
just
so
felt
you
bad.
you thought it sucked. You thought it sucked at the start.
I thought the game was sucky, but like I said, a part of that was I had a negative sort of disposition about it because I would play it on Dolphin, right, on for retro achievements, and I would try to get through the opening part where you get the ice pick and you send it to her down the thing. Every time it would crash there. And
Yeah.
you know, I just have to go back from my save and
This
do that all
is
again and waste like 30 minutes just for it to crash again.
this
So
is
the
what
game
you were
kept
telling me.
crashing
Yeah.
over and over again for a few days, and I just got mad and I had to like distance myself from the game. But when I came back to it on Steam and I just had this consistent playthrough experience, like yeah, I mean I realized it is a good game. Not as innovative as the first, obviously. They had already kind of established the Resident Evil formula by the time that the original one come out, and they had to put out a few of the games, and it was like the third or fourth, right?
Yeah.
And like the more I play it, the more I kind of appreciated the jank a little bit. The more I
Yeah.
got used to the inventory system, and I liked the partnering thing because it became this whole thing where the strategy of the game is where do I leave this person?
Yep.
Like we're gonna split up and you know. And even in the non-forced split up sections, like the parts where you just can't be together, there are times where I was like, "Oh, I should leave this person here and then come back later because like they're one hit from death, and if I have them following me, they're gonna die, and then we white out, you know, we game over.
See, that's
That would be
interesting.
bad."
I didn't do that very often. I kept them together like as much as possible.
No, like as much as possible, but
Yeah.
there were times where that was viable though, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so like a big part of it was like instead of just leaving random shit on the floor, I got into the mindset of I will leave this random shit on the floor in the right spot that will be useful for later. I
Yeah.
started thinking about it more like that, where it's like, yeah, I could just unload everything now, but if I unload everything like at the point we're gonna be, you know, and then so we could just like meet up back at this place, like, you know, in the beginning of the game, for example, you know, you have to get the card key to go to the front of the train.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, why don't I just drop all this shit right there in front of the car key door so that once we meet up and we can use all the stuff, it's just ready to go, you know?
Yeah.
I started thinking about like where I'm going to leave the items in that sense. And once I started getting used to the jank, and believe me, there's a lot of fucking jank, I started appreciating the game a lot. I mean, even the fucking
Yeah.
doors, I mean, I made it through 1 and 0 now. I don't have that big of an issue with the doors.
Yeah. I think it is a very solid game. I think some people. So
It's
some
just
people
like,
just don't.
I think it really takes off after the training facility. The training
Yeah.
facility is the worst segment. It's long, the puzzles are not complicated, but just kind of annoying. And then you get
Yeah.
thrust into that sort of like mansion training facility where you meet the Mimic Men for the first time, the Leech Boys.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Those guys suck ass. I
You
did not
need
understand
a
the value
cocktail,
of the
yeah.
Molotovs.
You need a
Yeah.
Molotov, at
But that's the
least one.
thing. That's the thing that made the late game so easy for me because I still had the grenade launcher, and when you have the incendiary rounds, it destroys them. I mean, like
Mm.
one, maybe two. It's the same thing
Well,
with the Molotovs, but just
those
having all those
are
extra things in the grenade launcher just means you don't got to worry about those guys anymore.
those are one of those enemies that like you can just avoid for the most part. Like in
Yes.
yeah, so you can just run past them, take a hit or two, and then just kind of
The first time I entered the training facility, I walked into the bathroom, I immediately died. And then the second time, I didn't go in the bathroom the entire playthrough. Having just beaten the game now on that specific run, I did not go into the bathroom of that mansion. I left that area completely unexplored.
that's fair.
I went into the hall where it spawns one in the hall, but it's like you can just run past them, and you never have to interact with
Yeah.
those two specifically.
I just remember thinking like
And I
on
was
the
like, oh, this is
whole,
part of the strategy.
I remember thinking like around halfway through the game. No, okay, sorry. At the beginning, I was so overwhelmed, like, oh, I can't do this. I cannot do this. I cannot manage two characters at once. This is ridiculous. How do they expect me to do this? And then, like, I don't know, like,
You
halfway,
figure it out.
less than halfway through the game, it just clicks. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. You know, just having
Yeah.
another person,
Yeah.
being able to just, like, shoot at an enemy and have, like, another person, like, also shooting them at the same time. And, you know, having that extra, like, offense, that's
And
really nice.
you're also sort of overwhelmed at the idea of like when do I set them to idle, when do I set them to like
Yeah.
auto attack mode, and then
Yeah.
that just becomes second
All of
nature
it,
too.
yeah,
It's
all of
just
it becomes
another one of
second
those things
nature.
where it's like
It ends up fitting
it's
really
got a lot
well.
of it's got a lot of these frustrating pain points that you just play the game and then it gets better. Like those kind of dissipate over time.
Yeah, yeah. It just the game felt nice. It gets nicer to experience as you get used to those. And I honestly, by the end, I was sad. I was sad that I was gonna be leaving behind this like system. You know?
Yeah.
No.
And I will say that like if we're continuing the conversation of like how I felt about the game, now I could say that I genuinely really like the game. I don't know if it's a love the game. I gotta
That's
say I really, really enjoyed the game. Like I thought it
that's
was
fair.
great by the end.
That's good.
Um, and it was definitely a good recommend. I needed to get around to doing that at some point. But like you got to understand, for me, it's more than just I played Resident Evil recently. It's that I specifically for the Retro Achievements Halloween event, I have played a lot of third person tank control survival horror games recently.
Yeah.
Like I've played through all of Fatal Frame now. I've played through all of Parasite Eve now. I've played through all of Dino Crisis now and Resident Evil 1, and like a half dozen playthroughs of Resident Evil 1 on DS as well. So I've played a lot of fucking uh, third person, you know, survival horror tank control games in very recent times. Like this is just a couple months ago at this point. So especially at that time, I did not want to play more Resident Evil, and I think that was one of the things that kind of was like I was feeling abrasive towards starting another Resident Evil game, was just having to do more of that because it's like it was like in the same time period, so it plays
Yeah.
the same, you know, tank controls and all. But I will say, I love tank controls now, or at the very least, I don't mind them. You know, I feel
Yeah.
like
I grew to
one
appreciate them
thing
for
that
sure.
is one thing that's consistent with both of these Resident Evil games, 1 and 0, is that, or just like all of these tank control games, is that I appreciate fixed forced camera angles.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't like it. I don't like it when the horror gives me the over the shoulder cam and I get to control the experience because I'm not a director. I'm not a film guy, so I
You'd
don't know
rather
what the
have
best
like
angle for anything is.
you'd rather have an artistic vision rather than having to just like
Oh
go through it
yeah,
yourself. Yeah.
100%. I want
And
like the artists to force an experience on me than for me to craft my own experience of their media. Because
yeah.
like some of those shots, dude, especially from the first game, some of those like creative shots that they did with the cameras, I never would have put the camera in that spot, but
Yeah.
it's so much better that
I
it
think
is
of
in that
like
spot.
in your the first game I think of like that one with like the bird cage and like like the hallway coming up to that.
That's a
Yeah,
good one.
that is a really nice like
I'm
hallway.
I'm thinking there's an area like outside where you get the grenade launcher too. That's pretty nice.
In the first one?
Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there's a lot of really good ones. I mean, I can't even go into all that right now, but
And that in
yeah,
itself
I've just
is like a
played.
form. I want to say
No,
it
you
is
you
like a
go.
form of horror where it's like it traps the character in this like defined space, and it's like
Yeah,
you. It doesn't feel like, oh, you have unlimited options of where you can look or you can go. It's like you create like a rectangle. Like I guess I'm picturing like the balcony with like the dogs in the first game. It creates like a rectangle, and it's like you are on one end of this, and then like the dogs are over here and they're coming at you. So it's like it forces this perspective of like they're, you're trapped in a box with these enemies, and it does that all the time in both of these games.
I really enjoy that. I mean, Fatal Frame was the same way. I mean, all of those games were Dino Crisis. All of them. You can never just turn the entire camera, spin it around, change the POV. You're stuck with one angle, and like you can turn the angle, but like the room layout will you'll never get another like angle of that room layout. You know, you have to like traipse through it exactly as it's been like pre-rendered, and that is so nice because it
Yeah,
means that they don't have to make everything perfect, so they can cut corners in a lot of ways while also keeping true to a vision, and that just makes so much more sense to me than
yeah,
trying to make sure every pixel of this room is like hyper accurate to real life, but you check it and it's like it's boring and there's like a scrap of paper on the floor and you pick it up and it's all boring to look at. There's no vision here. But when they just like have a focus, like just having focus is just like,
it's important. It's very important.
oh, we need
Yeah,
this in gaming, man.
yeah.
Because
Okay.
I've played countless of those like over the shoulder sort of walking simulator styles. It just doesn't capture the same thing. A game like Detroit Become
Okay,
Human,
I think we
I think
should.
is a decent. I mean, I was gonna say I'm gonna finish it with the sentence. I think Detroit is a good game. It'd be better with fixed cameras,
Hmm,
fixed angles. It would, and it,
okay.
it does have it sometimes. But
So
anyways,
okay.
let's reel it back.
So
You're right. Let's reel it
yeah,
back.
okay. I think that a couple of other things we need to go over with Resident Evil Zero is I think the only thing that I'm thinking now is I guess the ending, or no. Okay. So I have two things. Two things. The final sequence, the final lizard or the final leech fight with like the giant leech monster or
The
that.
Queen leech.
Yeah. So what did you think about that?
It it played into the whole thing not making sense for me. Like the whole like this is all a bunch
Oh,
of
I
magic
mean,
bullshit.
well, I mean the gameplay.
I think it was fine, but a little underwhelming because it's
Really?
weird. They give you, especially in the very last sequence, they give you like a piece of paper that tells you like, oh, you have to go to these corners of the room to do this to like, like unleash like the turn the
Yeah,
valves
yeah.
to open up the sunlight. That doesn't play into anything at all. It's just a defend Rebecca while she automatically does this for you thing. So you're just
Well,
shooting the guy as she's running around the
you
room
have to
doing
fend
it.
it off. Yeah.
And because like I was reading the paper and I was like, oh, so I have to remember. So I have to go northeast, then southeast, then south, and then north. It's like, am I gonna have to bring this up again? I better memorize it now.
That's
And then
interesting.
she just started doing it, and I was like,
No.
I don't have to memorize it at
See,
all, I
okay,
guess.
that's interesting because they told me the directions, like the paper, and I didn't acknowledge it at all. Like I just was like because I understood what they were doing. Like as soon as Rebecca starts doing them, so I'm like, okay, Rebecca's gonna do a thing, and then she's gonna have to run to another one and do it. So I don't know. I didn't have to think about that at all, and I just found that like
Well,
fending off.
I just feel like that information is pointless. It doesn't mean anything to the player. You know, why
That's
even give us the directions when
kind of true. That's kind of
we're
true.
we're
But you,
not gonna. Because I thought that would like flow into the gameplay. I thought that I would have to pay attention to the room layout. Like maybe there'd be a wall labeled like N for north.
well,
So I would use that as like
you
a
know
compass and then like go to the right spots.
right, but yeah, it tells you where Rebecca is going to go, so you know how to protect her on her path, basically.
Only you don't because you could I that didn't help me at all. She was just running and I was like I don't even know where she's going because she's just running all over the place to the four different spots and I'm just like my only job here is to shoot the slug thing. I'm not thinking like oh she's going to the southeast area. That wasn't on my mind at all. I was like, I'm
Well,
gonna distract the slug monster.
yeah, I mean, me neither really, but I don't know. I liked
Feels
that section.
weird.
I liked this final boss. I don't know what it
I
was.
think it was a good final boss. I think for me, I literally ended up using all of my ammo. For
Hmm.
all the special guns that weren't the pistol, I ran out of magnum ammo, I ran out of shotgun ammo, and I ran out of grenade launcher ammo. I had
Yeah, yeah.
nothing left
Okay,
except
so
for
I'm glad
pistol
that
ammo.
I'm glad that you
The very
also,
last
yeah.
shot was turning the final crank.
Okay, I'm glad that you had a similar thing because I had to replay it like 3 or 4, or I don't even know, like maybe 5 or 6 times because
You
I
did?
kept running out of ammo. I think I
Huh.
didn't save enough ammo for the end, and so I
If
kept
you
running
had the
out of
grenade
ammo.
launcher, if you kept the grenade
I
launcher
well
on you, you would have had
I think
all those shots.
I think I had the grenade launcher, but maybe I lied. Maybe I did have the grenade launcher the whole
I
time
had
because
like 12
all I
sulfuric
know,
shots for him in the end.
okay, all I know is that like by
And that
the
helped a
end,
lot.
I had to maximize all of my things. Like I would have to like fire a grenade launcher shot and then kind of like hope that it got like stuck on something for the length of another like
Right. Well,
shot
like
while she was
because
doing it.
something that helped
Because
me like utilize the ammo was I noticed that he had like a recoil animation. So you would hit
yeah,
him with like the
yeah,
shotgun and he would reel back for a second and then have
and
to
you
like
can't do damage by
slowly start
spamming.
moving again. And then he
Yeah,
like moves and starts speeding up and once he gets closer you just like shotgun.
yeah, you can't hit it while
So you can
spamming,
like
so
preserve the ammo a bit.
you have to pace it a little bit. And yeah, so I would like knowing that's a time thing and not a health thing. I would like
Yeah,
fire at him and then hope that it got like stuck on the railing. Like I was like
exactly.
abusing. There's like a
Wait.
staircase with like a railing you can stand on, and
Oh,
I
you
would
can
just
get up
like yeah, I would like abuse that because Rebecca would like run up there sometimes to like travel in between areas. So like you can go up on this little like it's kind of like a high rise kind of thing. It's like a
yeah, and I know what
construction
you
thing.
mean.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
can
think
go
you
up
could go
on
up
it.
there because I thought that was just for Rebecca like as an AI
Yeah.
to run around on.
So yeah, I would I would go up there and I would like shoot at it and then like it would like try to come at me, but like it couldn't get up there. So I would be like wasting its time using that like railing and
I was just running in circles. Like I would
yeah.
see where Rebecca was beelining for, like on the path, and I would just like wait for her to cross paths with the slug queen, and then just shoot the slug as
Well,
she's trying to go by.
I think
So
I
that
even
it
like
was fine.
I think I even found a spot on that railing where like it would be shooting like its acid, you know,
Yeah.
and it like couldn't reach me. Like it would because sometimes it would, you know, and you'd just be sitting up there. And you're like, ah, crap, I'm stuck up here. But then other times I would like find the just like the right angle, and then like it couldn't get a shot up to me, so I'd be like cheesing
We
it.
went about that in very different ways.
Yeah.
I did not even think to find like a campy, cheesy
Well, because
spot. I was
no,
just like,
because I didn't have enough
I'm running this bitch in
because
circles.
it was because of my ammo situation. I had so little
Right.
ammo. I needed
And
something.
also the knife.
The knife.
You left that at the train, right? Like all the way back at the beginning of the game. Like, did you have
Probably.
the knife?
No, I don't think so.
Because like they kept trying to force it on you. You could drop it at any point at the start of the game, and like they'll keep trying to like they spawn it in a room. They spawn a knife in a room like halfway throughout the train when you get like the security card, I think.
Mm,
Um,
I remember
and
that.
then they also spawn it again when the train crashes. Like if you don't have the knife on you, they'll spawn a knife on the floor outside of the crashed train, as well as the grappling hook.
Interesting.
So like the game wants you to take the knife, but I never found a good use for it except for the scorpion boss. The scorpion boss I found very early on because of all my having to go through that area
The
on the
scorpion.
GameCube. You can just cheese the fuck out of it as Billy and just stab
Yeah.
the scorpion over and over again. He gets close, stab. He gets close, stab, and you can go through it with taking like no damage.
Yeah, I
Like
did not do that.
he has an attack where he can like kind of like power armor through it, but it's super rare and does like no damage at all. Like every time I ever fought the scorpion, I left with green health. Like we were fine.
That's crazy.
After the train, I was like, I'm not gonna find a cheat strat like that again. I'm dumping this. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
pointless.
But anyways, so and then after the final boss, how did they do the it's been like 6 months since I played it. How did they do like the final cutscene? Did they like, blow him up or like a rocket
They
launcher?
Rebecca finds like I don't know, like Barry's fucking revolver, some kind of like 6-shooter gun, just laying there
Right.
on the ground. Like neither one of their guns, not even the Magnum, just a 6-shooter. and she's
Right.
like, and she throws it. She's like, Billy. He catches it,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
dude. Oh
this
my
is the
god.
most
Okay.
bullshit thing. This is the most bullshit thing because this gun is like magic or something. He's like, eat lead, motherfucker, or some cheesy one-liner, and he fires the Magnum, and it's slow mo. It zooms in. It's like,
Oh my god, it's
like
so
it's
good. It's so
supernatural when they
good.
fire the Colt.
Oh my
What is it
god.
with 6-shooter guns like Colts and revolvers that is like they have to slow it down? It's like this epic thing.
Yeah, oh, it's amazing.
It fires it, and then like all your other shots, the grenade launcher, poof on like the slug's body, whatever. The shotgun, whatever. This magical fucking revolver explodes it into a million fucking pieces right down the center. What's in that bullet? Like,
And like it hit him at like the perfect angle so that it just was like the killing blow for some reason.
yeah, and then
oh my god,
the
I forgot
pieces
about
that
that.
remain.
I forgot
The
about that
pieces that
completely.
remain like fall down into like the elevator shaft because you use like an elevator to get up to where you are,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
self-destruct sequences started like as the fight was going, so they all
Right.
fall down the shaft at the same time that everything blows up. So like all the little slug bits, they just kind of like they're
Yeah,
gone.
yeah. Oh my god. Oh, I totally forgot about
It's
Rebecca tossing him the gun. That's
so
so
crazy.
raw. That's
It's
amazing.
that's the thing though. For as crazy and as nonsensical and like weird as it is, it has the rule of cool, like Parasite
Yeah.
Eve, where it's like this
Oh my
shit is
god.
weird, but it's awesome. And like there's a reason people joke about these sort of like, you know, um like he's right behind me writing, isn't he? But
Yeah.
sometimes some of that shit is like you want that level of like camp
Oh
cheesiness,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
want that
Resident
like
Evil is like the thing to have it. Like it just is.
it's a 2000s tank control survival horror game.
Oh my
It's
god.
weirdly perfect for it.
Oh, I'm so
It was
glad
cool.
I'm so glad you brought that back into my brain. Just Rebecca throwing the
Yeah,
gun.
you're
It's
welcome.
so,
You're
it's
welcome for
so
the
good.
thought.
And
I don't know how much longer we're gonna talk about Resident Evil because we've only talked about one of the two subjects so far, and we're going for like an
right.
hour and a half. But I do have one more thing on my list that I wanted to touch upon. We've gotten through all the rest just like
I was
naturally.
gonna say my only other
I don't think we're
thing.
gonna. I don't think we're gonna find a way back to this though, unless I just bring it up out of nowhere.
Right. My other thing with Resident Evil is oh, it's the final cutscene. It's a prequel, and like you see the mansion. That's very cool.
It shows like the spider web on the mansion.
And like you were
That's
saying, like him,
pretty
you were
dope.
saying, could we just record the episode when you're like halfway through the game? And I said, no, I want you. Oh, my camera defocused. I was saying, no, I want you to finish it, and that's why, because you see the mansion, you see it's cool. She's
Well, I mean, you already know that it's a prequel because you're playing Resident Evil Zero, but just like seeing the mansion is cool.
it is very
You know?
cool. Just being like,
Knowing what's about to happen later, like that same day.
yeah, you feel like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where you're just like, you know, because she's
And like
looking
it's so
at
weird
it
seeing
from a
it
distance.
from a distance in the daytime.
Yeah,
Like you're seeing them in full light, and you're like, this is the same creepy ass place that's about to be swarming with dogs on the outside, and like a few dozen zombies on the inside. It gets nuts.
It's cool.
'Cause you-
Okay, what was your
knowing
thing?
everything you know, it's just weird. Anyways,
It's
so
very
I have one more thing to touch on, and it's a personal story about my gameplay of Resident Evil Zero, where I gave Rebecca all of the heavy shit, like the shotgun and the grenade launcher.
Really?
Yes, yes. Well, for this part of the game, like in my context, like this makes sense. To do something, and then I get to the centipede boss fight.
Centipede.
The centipede boss fight is distinctly a boss fight where you can't use Rebecca because she is captured by the centipede and taking damage slowly throughout the boss fight.
I'm trying to
I had
remember
to do this
fight.
boss fight. Yeah, no, it's like it's in there's like a cage and you have to lift the cage and then Rebecca picks up like a key under the cage. And then this giant centipede or like millipede picks her up in like its arms
Okay,
and
yes.
starts running around like a room.
It's in like the is it in
It's
the
pretty early on.
The,
It's in
the
the training
empty swimming
facility.
pool, right?
Is that a swimming pool?
I think it is.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. I have an idea of what you're talking about now. Go ahead.
I had to do that fight with just
Without
like a
Rebecca.
clip of pistol ammo and a
Oh,
knife. And it was like impossible. Like I went around the mansion as it was happening, him slowly killing her in his arms. It takes a long time. I don't know how that fight went for you. I figured out that the centipede basically won't kill her unless you're there, and it can take several minutes. Like he was just he was slowly killing her of her life for like 3 minutes straight.
Like, oh no,
Um,
Rebecca.
but eventually she will die. Like sometimes she'll go like limp in his arms, and you'll think she's dead, but she's not actually dead yet. She will actually just die because I was like roaming around the mansion looking for like other ways to
Billy's like,
like
wait, I gotta,
Molotovs that I can
wait,
make.
Rebecca, I'm coming. I gotta go to the bathroom first. Hold on.
Yeah, and then the screen just fades to white, and you're like, oh, she died. She died in the centipede's arms.
It just fades to white. That's crazy.
No, like, and that happened to me like a couple times where it's like I just saw her, I came back, and she was like totally dead. Like she was just like limp like as a
Oh
doll
my
in his
God.
arms, and it's the creepiest thing.
That is really weird.
I did not love it, but it's like, what are you supposed to do in that situation? You know, like
Reload a
they're not
save
going to
from
give you
before.
a repeat of. They're not going to give you any extra ammo for the fight. They
yeah.
never do that.
Well, that's
they're
what
not
I
going to
was
give you
trying-
any extra guns that you don't have. So if you give it all to Rebecca and you only have the weak pistol with no ammo, you're like,
That's what I was
"This shit
trying to
sucks."
avoid with the final boss. I was trying to cheese it because I didn't want to have to like reload a save from earlier, you know. So yeah.
And I ended
show
up
up
having
with
to
no
reload
ammo,
one that was like, sorry, I ended up having to reload a save that was like 10 minutes earlier before I gave her all the shit. Fortunately for me, it wasn't that far back, so I was like, I'll just do like that last like little puzzle again. It's whatever. But if I had saved like an hour ago, that would have sucked. That would have really like made it would have been a huge detriment on the experience, I think.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that probably is because I could, I had this idea going into it that I wanted her to be shotgun girl and he's pistol guy. Because, like, we've touched on this a little bit, but they obviously wanted you to do the thing where the guy has a shotgun, the girl has, like, the dinky little pistol. I wanted her to be shotgun girl.
Damn.
I changed that after that boss fight.
Yeah.
Not specifically because of that, but I realized that there's so many points where it's like you split up and Rebecca finds the pistol ammo and Billy finds the shotgun ammo.
So
and you're like, they want
really
you to make
intended
him the
it,
shotgun guy and her the pistol girl. Like it's part of the game design.
It's like if
like,
it was if it was a TV show or a movie, those would be like canonically their weapons.
Yeah,
basically.
there's a part where like you lift her up into like this thing on like this elevator thing, and like up in the elevator thing, it's like you find pistol ammo. But the only person who can ride the elevator is Rebecca because Billy's too heavy.
Right.
So it's like,
yeah.
so it's, if you didn't give Rebecca the pistol, that's just useless.
It was
for
funny.
A long portion of time until they like reconnect.
Well, future games, future RE games, like the remakes, you kind of run into a similar thing where like you can kind of choose what weapons you want to use, like depending the different types of guns, and if you just decide that like you don't want to use, I don't know, like the submachine gun, you're just gonna like run into submachine gun ammo, and it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, this would have been really nice if I was using the submachine gun, but I'm not. So now I'm still kind of screwed because I'm using the shotgun or whatever else, the pistol. So it's kind of like a similar deal, I think.
But anyways, that's my thoughts about Resident Evil. I think that it started off a little, but I really enjoy it. I'm glad. I think it was a good recommendation.
Good.
I'm excited for the next recommendation. I want to know what's festering in that mind.
Okay, so do you want to introduce it?
I want to take a piss, and then we'll be right back.
Okay, piss break.
Also, I want to now that we're back, I want to say we didn't really get into any of the stuff about it being battle snakes.
What do you mean?
Like before we get into the Jentry Chau stuff, it's the reason this podcast is called Battle Snakes is because that's the first like dumbest, silliest name we could think of as like a versus wolves parody.
Yeah.
We were just like versus battle, and Toby was like battle snakes.
What I was thinking was, obviously you need a word that's like versus, so I went with battle, and then what is like. I know it's gonna sound silly with what we came up with, in the end, but I was thinking, what's the opposite of like a wolf? And I don't know why,
No,
but
that
like
makes sense.
I was trying to think of something that was like as cool as a wolf, but also like not like in the same like lichen family, kind of like
Right.
different. And I don't know why like
And then
snake came to mind, and that was
when
just
I
that was
heard
the first thing that I
when
came
I
up
heard
with.
him say battle snakes, I laughed so fucking hard. I knew that had to be like that was
Yeah.
it. We didn't have to think any
No.
longer. That was it.
Also, it's the same
Um,
day. I changed shirts. I was messing with the collar of the last one too much. It was a weird.
right. Yeah, we just had like a bathroom break and now we're back.
Okay.
Um,
So
but yeah,
why don't you tell me?
we also
Sorry.
didn't do the we are battle snakes thing.
No, we did not. We'll do it at the end. Do it at the end.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and introduce what you've given me this month. This.
All right.
All right.
So on like episode 0 before we started the podcast, he recommended me Resident Evil 0 and I recommended to him Gentry Chau versus the Underworld.
That's right.
And going into this, I want to say before we really dive into it, this is a recommendation of pure joy for me. I
Pure
don't know how
joy.
it ended up
Okay.
being. Yeah, I don't
I'm gonna.
know how this ended up being for you, but it was one of my absolute favorite things that I experienced of the year prior.
Okay. Interesting.
And
Interesting.
well, it was December of 2024, and
Okay.
then like so not technically 2 years ago, but it's whatever. It's January for February this year. Anyways, yeah, no, the whole thing was like I absolutely loved this thing. I didn't really talk about it a whole lot because I didn't really, you hadn't seen it and I didn't want to say anything, but I just
Right.
remembered really, really loving it. So that
Okay.
was the intention.
Okay. So
How did it come across? What are your thoughts?
Gentry Chau versus the Underworld is a Netflix animated series that kind of tries to do. Okay, here's the thing. It is kind of like K-pop Demon Hunters before K-pop Demon Hunters. It predates it by about like a year, I think, and it is like it takes the same concept of like a American Asian person's experience and turns that into like a show with like sci-fi fantasy kind of powers and stuff, So it's like the main character herself is she's Chinese, right?
Yes.
Yes, and her family, her lineage is Chinese, and the whole I don't even know why I questioned that, but yeah, her whole lineage and the whole mythology of the show is based on like Chinese legends and Chinese folklore and spirits and that kind of thing.
Just like
And
mythos. Yeah.
yeah, and so you've got Gentry Chau, the main character, who is like this 16, 15-year-old girl. She's super into like K-pop and, trendy like teen stuff these days, right? And she has superpowers. She has like fire powers that come out of her hands. And it's connected to like this Chinese mythos stuff, and you kind of get into that as you go throughout the show. And okay, so I wrote down some stuff. On my phone.
I feel like there's a lot of pain points here that
Pain points. I don't know.
it's interesting to hear that it's not just immediate praise.
Okay, so
No, I'm fucking with you.
what I wrote down was my first impression for episode one. It was like the Danny DeVito meme, right? Like as soon as I watched episode one, it was like I get it. Like I was looking at it and I was like,
Okay.
this is really cool. This is a really unique thing. Um, So I'll just go over what I wrote. What I wrote was visually stunning, gorgeous 2D animation, bold, committed art style, wonderful use of color. And these are all things that I absolutely stand by. I think they stand true, not just first episode, but for the whole show, really. I think it's really nice.
So in the first episode, you did get why I recommended it. Then
Yes.
you thought it was great,
Yeah, well, I could definitely see, like, the potential. And, like, I was
right?
like, this is something... Okay, yeah, sure. Like, this could be really cool. Let's get into this. And then after that, I wrote fun characters. Gentry is adorable. Gugu is sweet and full of heart. Gugu is like her great aunt, I believe, who is like her caretaker at this point.
We
Michael
don't
is
have like a lot of that in American culture, like with
yeah,
that stuff. Like we have great aunts, but it's never really like a common thing, you know?
Right,
I
right.
don't know how to
You
explain that. Like Chinese culture has that a lot more than we do.
you don't hang out with your great aunts a lot, I guess.
Yeah,
You don't really
exactly.
meet them very often. Anyways, and then I wrote Michael is a believable childhood friend type, which is, like they introduce him and it's like, yeah, sure, okay, he's got like a nice dynamic with Gentry.
He
Uh,
is this isn't a race thing, but they gave another black guy the fade haircut.
yeah, well,
It's
I
just
mean,
like it's
it's a
another
common
one.
hairstyle for black men, so I don't
No,
know.
like there's nothing wrong with it, and Michael is he looks fine, but it's like when are we going to get another popular black haircut?
I don't know.
I'm tired of seeing it.
I don't know. I wrote down Najah mention, or I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but like
Najah,
in
yeah.
episode one they mentioned Najah, and I know Najah because I have like 2,000 hours on Smite, so I love my gods and my mythos. I just thought that was cool. Third eye opening, dope as fuck. So Gentry in the first episode goes through kind of a traumatic experience when the evil spirit being that's trying to like steal her powers. We haven't really mentioned this yet. There's an evil spirit being trying to steal her powers, and
Oh, Chen.
called Mr. Cheng, and yeah, so he shows up in the first episode. It's very like first episode cartoon thing where like the big bad shows up just this once to do something, and it kind of like alters the show for the going forward for like the because like if this were like Team NT or whatever, like Shredder would do some like crazy shit that like ruins their lives, and it's just something they have to live with. And like the next like 50 episodes of
Well, the rest of the
Teenage Mutant
series is
Ninja
just
Turtles,
getting up to
yeah,
the next
is trying to like
confrontation,
yeah
like the
that.
final one.
And so like they do that thing, and what happens here is that he kills Gugu, her great aunt, but not really because she becomes a ghost, and she can just become a ghost. And since Gentry has spirit powers, she can see her, which they establish most people in this world can't see spirits or ghosts or anything like that. They don't know what's going on when all that stuff
But
happens.
like coincidentally, in the first episode, she's also now starting to tap into her Chinese like spirit powers.
Right, right, okay. So yeah, so Gugu's dead, but she can still see her. And then okay, I wrote down Chang has a cool design. That is, it's a pretty cool design. He's like this big like towering ghost guy, and he's got a very cool like mask. It's kind
Kind
of
of reminds me
bleach.
of Buggy,
Yeah. Ooh.
like post time skip
Yeah.
Buggy.
Post times get buggy with a bleach like hollow mask. That's basically
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
basically what he is. So if you know those things. Soundtrack is noticeable and cool. I wrote this down because I'm not good. I'm awful with like recognizing soundtracks. Usually I just don't. Like it's one of those things where it's subconscious for me where like I'm hearing the soundtrack and it's
No, for
serviceable for
sure.
what
Like
it
this one
is.
stands out. I've
Yeah.
downloaded some of those
So
songs and listened to them like on
so
repeat.
there's a lot of I guess like insert songs where it's not just like a OST like melody like a background
Yeah, yeah.
ambience.
No, like
It's a
it's like the
real
music
like
is like describing what's happening, like how the characters are
it's a
feeling.
real like song. Sometimes it's like a
It's
rap or a
really
hip
cool.
hop, or sometimes it's like rock or pop or whatever. Like varying genres of like setting a tone. So I
And
thought that
like
was
that
really cool.
opening though,
We'll get there. Okay, never. Okay, so we'll get into it pretty much right now because the last thing I wrote was K-pop Demon Hunters, and I do kind of think it gives me a very similar vibe with the fact that like these are English speaking Asian people, all like the whole cast is all like English speaking Asians, and in that same sense, they do something that I don't know that I like, where I really don't know how to feel about, where they really emphasize sounds in their original language. So when they're talking about, I think it's just the Underworld. It's called DU, and so
oh,
they will
DU.
really emphasize that DU. And like
DU.
there are some times where it's so exaggerated that like I can't take it seriously, where they're just like oh no, we gotta get to DU, and then it's like, we can't go to DU. That's the bad place.
No,
And then
like
Gentry's
that
like,
is a
and
weird
then
one, and specifically
Gentry's
like
like,
that word
yes, I've
stands
gotta
out.
get to DU, and it is very strange. I don't know. It's a bit emphasized, I think, and
I
maybe
don't
that
think
has
it's
to do.
that bad, but yeah, it's something.
It's
It's
just one of
definitely like,
those.
oh, they didn't have to do it like that.
It's just one of those things where once you notice it, you can't stop hearing it, and like they do that with any word that is like Chinese that they keep,
Well, and like
and
that's the
like don't
problem too, is
translate.
you can't even say like, oh, this would be better with like subtitles like on in like Chinese because the show is made in
Yeah.
English, like
Well, and
originally,
that's
and
why.
it's for an English speaking audience because the story is about like our experience, like
Yeah, and
American
that's
Asians.
to me that's like part of why it reminds me of K-pop Demon Hunters is because they also do that. You know, it's that same vibe where it's like
Yeah.
English speaking Asians and they really emphasize those native language words. I mean, you know, Mexican people do it too with Spanish, and like if you watch like Encanto, they do that, and any like there's a lot of Mexican American media where
Well,
they
because
also
like
do
there are
that.
specific ways to emphasize things in certain languages, like
Right?
they
It's
put
not a
different
taco, it's a
stresses on
taco.
words.
You know.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. It is maybe it's cute. It's a fun little I guess quirk about the show that I'm kind of torn on because it does get a little bit I don't know off-putting. It's just like it's a tiny little nitpick, tiny nitpick. But that's everything I wrote about episode one. So going into episode one or like finishing episode one, I was like, this is really cool, and I understand immediately why you recommended this to me, and I'm like excited to see where this goes.
I feel like a
And
butt here.
okay, and so the next thing I wrote down was intro goes crazy.
I
If
know.
there's one thing that I will say, I don't even like Cat's Eye like in general, but goddamn, I fucking love the intro to this show. Like it is so I don't even know how the animation I think is fucking impeccable. Like
It's
I
You can
because
feel the passion.
the show already has like its own defined art style, but then the intro has an even better art style in my opinion, where like they have much thicker lines, and it's like it's really
Oh yeah.
everything is just so like it. Oh, it has such a
Like
great look to it.
if I had to put words to it, it's like the composition, the flow of the
Yes,
opening. It
yeah,
feels like a manga come to life.
it is very nice. Like I
Like
can't
with
even
the way that
explain.
like the way that like it opens in and like the far out shot of like the temple and like the zooms and like the
Yeah,
characters will fall into place and like be like a picture perfect scene for a moment. It literally feels like you're animating like still slides, but
yeah.
like in just the coolest way. To
Like
this
the
hip
angles are
hoppy like
cool. Yeah, it's so cool. It's this very cool kind
I
of
love it.
I guess it is kind of like hip hop, like the K-pop style hip hop, but it's partially in Chinese and mostly in English.
Then at the beginning you're like,
And
I don't know, but then at the end you're like, gotcha, like
gotcha,
a
like a
moth through the
moth through the
flame.
flame. Yeah. Oh my god, it goes so crazy. I mean, it's only like 30 seconds. Like it's a not like
Oh
an
yeah,
anime
it's
intro, so
short.
you can definitely like just look that up on its own. Super cool. And then even if you don't like the song, the animation goes crazy. And like I love that sequence where she's like falling and it's just into that like pit, and it's like all the things swirling. And that's like the least impressive shot in the whole thing. It is just so cool. It is really really nice. It was a treat every time pulling up an episode. Okay. So to get into the show proper, I
Right.
do you have anything else to add before I get into it?
I was trying to think of like specific things to point out about the intro. I mean, but we could just be sitting here for a while just talking about
Yeah.
each shot.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna not.
Okay.
If the viewers really care to see how good it looks, just look it up. Jentry Chau
Okay.
intro. It's
All right. So I I started to feel after a few episodes that it didn't necessarily feel like things were moving. I kind of couldn't really put my finger on like I was like there's something off. I don't know what it is. because it's like I like this. I like everything about this from a production standpoint, and like just like I don't know. I can't elaborate more. I like everything about this on a technical level. There's something on the writing level that is losing me a little bit, where I'm thinking these characters aren't fleshed out enough, and they're doing stuff. It's not like nothing's happening, but it's kind of like nothing's happening. Like it's I don't know. It feels to me like it's trying to do two things at once. Like it's trying to be a classic like kind of teenager with superpowers cartoon that you would like watch on Saturday mornings. Kind of like your TMNTs. Like I don't know why that's the only example I can think of.
No, I feel that the beginning of the middle, I think, is a weird part. I really, really enjoy the latter half of the middle part of the show.
I'll
The beginning
I'll
of the
get
middle,
there.
like the episode with the Alamo, that could be
Yeah.
cut from the show
Right.
as a
Okay.
whole. I'm like, it's kind of the worst one, I think.
Yeah,
This doesn't
yeah.
feel like it's connecting to anything, and like maybe there are little moments here and there for like character dynamics or like little things, but for the most part, probably the weakest part. And it's like it's only episode 4, so you're like right
Yeah.
there at the beginning still, not even halfway through yet. It feels weird.
Okay.
But like the one before that is like I don't know. Episode 2, episode 3, we get like the whole thing with like the parents like backstory and like their like sort of shady dealings with the one thing. I like that. I
I
like it
don't
when they go into like
was it I don't remember it being that early, but
no,
I guess
that
you're
was episode 3 with the Shen Pearl.
oh yeah, okay, the pearl. Right,
Yeah.
okay. So I don't even know where to keep going from here. Okay, so they like I said, they're trying to do a cartoon, like from earlier times, kind of like a 2000s action cartoon. I guess from any era, really. It doesn't have to be 2000s. Where it's like you got this kind of like setting, kind of like a high school, and like you've got this teenager with superpowers, and like she's got her friends and like her love interest. And it's like, okay, so what are we doing here? Is this going to be about her love interest? Is this going to be like, oh, she has to like protect, like hide her superpowers from Michael, her love interest? Or are we, I don't know, are we straying away from high school? Is this going to be more about the Underworld because it's called Gentry Chau versus the Underworld? And what it settles on is like a kind of strange blend where like they'll be doing stuff at high school and then supernatural stuff will like show up at school. Or,
Yeah,
like
like
whatever she's
underworld
hanging
beings
out,
come to her
come to her. And
instead of her going to the underworld, which is a little disappointing.
I don't know if that works. It feels, and I'll get to this later. There's a certain phrase I would use for this, is that it feels unfocused, and it took me like 7 or 8 episodes of watching it and just really thinking like, what's wrong? Like what is why don't I like this more? Because I kept feeling like with everything this show is, I should like this a lot. Like this in theory, and in looks, it is so cool. So why isn't it clicking? And I just think that there's a lack of focus with what it wants to do, with the plot and characters mainly. I think like the plot is too slice of lifey, where it's like they do focus a lot on like her high school and interpersonal relationships with her friends and like her love interests, and then also the characters don't grow a lot. Like they don't really do. It's hard to really say that they don't do much again, because like take Michael, her love interest. Michael is a character and he's a fine one at that, but like they don't know what to do with him. I feel like he was a very strange character, because there was I think it was kind of early on. They tried to give him like an arc where like he's like the guy, in these shows, where like he's like the handsome football guy that is also like her childhood best friend that she grew up with. And so it's like they're clearly setting that up. But he has a girlfriend, So it's like, now it's like Gentry probably likes him. We get the feeling that she does, but like he's got a girlfriend, so it's like
And
what's
then
gonna
also
happen?
like also outside of his exterior as like this tall football player, he's also like really into music and he wants to
Yeah,
take
well, I'm
his
getting
passion for
yeah.
the flute to the next level.
Yes, I'm getting to that part. So he
Okay.
is like the guy you're thinking of when you picture like, handsome black football guy in high school. I don't know if I said high school twice, but he is that guy. But then right right like in the middle of the show, they want to give him an arc. So they're like, okay, he doesn't like football that much. He's just good at it. So he's gonna actually try to do the flute and join band instead of football. And it just doesn't like it just fizzles. Like it doesn't really give you a character arc that you want, because again, like some supernatural stuff shows up, and so like he
Yeah.
talks with his
And rather than
girlfriend.
him like having to focus on a choice, he just kind of gets the out of like, oh, this is when the tension is heightening now. So now he can
Yeah,
focus on like
yeah.
saving the world rather than that actual problem resolving.
Right. So he ends up talking to his girlfriend about it, and then his parents as well. But his parents are just like, "Oh, but like you're good at football, and you're gonna get a scholarship if there's a recruiter at the game, because there's always a recruiter at the game."
There's always the
Um,
big recruiter at the
yeah,
one football game that matters
yeah.
the
And
most, I
so
guess.
I just that this whole like thing with him wanting to do music instead, it didn't work. They tried it, and they didn't follow through with it. It feels like, and that would
I
just left
feel
me
like it
really
would have been
disappointed.
better maybe if like one, if it had like a more definitive conclusion, but two, if they sort of like had alluded to the fact that he was a music player at all before that.
Yeah, there's no hint to it either.
Gentry could have just dropped it like, "Oh, hey, so you still keeping up with the flute?"
Or
And then he
like
would have been
he,
like, "Oh yeah, I love it. Music's my passion." If he had said that, it would have been like, "All right, okay, here we go. He's a
yeah,
music guy. He
it
loves
kind
playing the
of
flute."
comes out of nowhere,
Kind of comes out of left field.
and right, and it acts as an excuse to break up with his girlfriend, because
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
like the moment where she has like this 5-step plan for their relationship going into college and whatever. She got like this whole like planner and whatever, and
Like
then
literally a 5-step plan. Like
yeah, and then he's like, I want to do the flute, and she's like, but that's not in the plan, and then they have to break up.
it's kind of silly. I
It's kind of
didn't think
silly.
of her as like that weirdly like rigid when you first meet her,
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
really get that idea for her character when she's introduced. She just seems like a nice friend to Gentry. She starts off as the girl who shows her around, and then she becomes like a girl who's like really sort of shallow and
Mm.
like rigid and like I don't know. I feel like a part of it is that she feels like him playing the flute is like demasculating for him, so she's not like into it
Yeah,
anymore.
well,
I don't know if
it's
that's like
it's
exactly what they're trying to get across, but that's kind of how I felt.
yeah. I mean, there's just that's like the example of like the characters, even when they have arcs, aren't like solid. They're not built on like a lot of foundation, and
Right.
I kind of think that applies to all of them. There's a character named Ed who is like he's a Jiangshi, which is like a Chinese spirit. They're supposed to be bad. They're supposed to be like a kind of like
Yeah, he's
a
a
curse.
Jentry.
Yeah, they're kind of like it's supposed to be like a cursed being. Um, but he becomes friends with Gentry is the point, and he's like her sidekick and sidekick. They're friends. You get my point. And he hangs around, and he's just a character. He's kind of like quirky. He's kind of fun. Like I never hated Ed. There's never a point where I'm like, this
No,
character's
I like
awful.
Ed. I think that he has a funny thing where he's like trying to be like a social media influencer, and he just gets
Yeah,
more in touch with like he gets in touch with like the brain rot part of society, where
yeah.
Gentry is like a little bit above that,
I
so he
I
feels like this weird kid, but
I
he's
think
funny.
it gets to a point where he's like mentioning TikTok a little too much, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
dude, like
yeah.
let's
I was
reel it
just
back a
like
little bit.
I was like, that's weird, but I'm still endeared to this character, so I'll let
No,
that
yeah, I
slide.
mean he was totally fine for the most part. He just doesn't he doesn't do a whole lot for the show, Like he's not like a selling point. He's not a
He's a
great.
comedic relief.
Yeah, he's
He's just
comedic
comedy.
relief. He's not even like an. He's not even like a super comedic relief. He's kind of just the guy. He's just here. Um,
Yeah.
but then as far as that goes, everything else goes. Gentry is fine. Like she's a good character, sort of. Like she has motivations, kind of. She has like goals, that she thinks she wants to get to, kind of.
I think a
I,
part of Gentry being a character is that they do this thing where it's like she's a teenager, so she doesn't have her life figured out yet. So they're just like,
yeah,
we are forcing her destiny on her. And it's one of those things just like, is she gonna just answer the hero's call, you know? And
yeah,
that's really like her character growth of her just being like, I don't want this, I want to be normal, but her just being like, I have to do this, I have to save everybody. And so it doesn't really feel like a choice, really. It's just like, this is the natural progression of where this is gonna go because that's all they can really do with that as it is, as they wrote it, you know?
yeah. And I don't know. Like I said, there's some I don't fully understand character writing enough to know why, but I just couldn't get like super invested in any of the characters in the show. Like I
I feel
couldn't.
like for Gentry in specific, it's because she doesn't have a moment of like unwavering faith or like a new idea, like a new like belief system brought into her life. Like she just believes the same thing and is vindicated in almost every way in like in the beginning and the end. Like all the
Okay,
problems that
well,
show up, she's
okay,
right for questioning all this, you know?
okay.
It's never
So
like, oh, she has to grow and learn and she suffers because she was wrong.
so
She's
we
just right
can
for everything.
we can get into that too. So Gentry is kind of right about a lot of like most things that happen, and that is kind of even kind of like annoying. Where like
Oh
she's a
yeah.
little bit bratty. Like she's for the most part, I found her like a cute, fun character. She's a little bit like annoying, a little bit bratty. Um,
Yeah.
but then we have Gugu. I can't recall like a harder downfall in character. Like Gugu starts off like I wrote in my reactionary episode 1 notes as like she's a sweet, kind, great aunt that like any person, doesn't matter what your race is, you would love to have her as your great aunt. She cooks you meals and she loves you and she's great. And she cares for you and all that stuff. But then every time you learn new stuff about Gugu's past, or even just like like the even just like the present, like as you're learning anything, things that keep happening in the show, that's what I mean by the present, it gets worse. Like her character gets so much worse so quickly, where she lies, she manipulates Gentry, she did awful things in the past. She's the reason that Gentry has her powers, which, we've only said Gentry has like fire powers. We haven't mentioned that like they're a huge burden on her. At least like Gentry
Oh,
herself perceives them.
massively.
Yeah, like she
She
perceives them
hates
as
the
like a
fact that she even
massive
has them.
burden. She hates these powers, and it's not really a spoiler. It's like an episode 1 thing. She burned down half of the town that like she in episode 1 she was living in Seoul in South Korea, but then she moves back to her hometown in Texas. And that hometown in Texas, she had previously as a kid burnt down like half of the town because she accidentally unleashed her fire powers. And so that's been a major part of like piece of stress in her life, knowing that she burned down half a town. And then they come back to this place and she's living with Gugu, and then we find out that Gugu is the reason she has those powers, and that like Gugu's the
The
reason
reason
that like
Shen is even after her life.
yeah, and the reason why her parents aren't around anymore. And we're getting into like pretty big spoilers for the show now. But yeah, her
Well,
parents
this is a
are
spoilers podcast. Like we're gonna
yeah,
dive into these topics like deeply.
yeah. So
If you
Gentry's
didn't get that with the
parents,
Resident Evil shit, what are you doing?
her parents are both gone, um, dead, and it's Gugu's fault. It is entirely Gugu's fault because oh god, how does it go again? Gugu had the powers that Gentry has were inside of like this magic robe. It was like a magic yellow robe, and Gugu transferred them into Gentry, and then because of that, Mr. Chang lashed out, and he was like, he's like, you people took away the powers that I want. I'm going to kill you. And so he just does. He kills Gentry's mom and dad, uh, and that's it. That's all there is to it. The powers are trapped in the baby, and the only reason he didn't kill Gentry, having the powers, is because his own daughter had died, and he's trying to use the powers to bring his own daughter back to life. And so he's like, I don't want to bring the pain of losing a daughter on someone else, so I'll kill the parents instead. Which, I don't know if that's how that works.
It's
But
a villain's moral justification for killing.
right. So that happens. And so basically every bad thing in Gentry's life is Gugu's fault. And Gentry says that. She literally explicitly says it like to the audience and like to another character, I think, that like Gugu really like did so many bad things to Gentry, and not only doesn't apologize for it, she thinks that she's still like right. Like she thinks that she's still like all of that stuff is justified. And there's more, She in the ways that like she's lied to and manipulated Gentry. I don't remember the specifics exactly, but it's messed up. It's not like super dark or anything.
It's deep. It's not. Yeah. No. Like it runs. It runs back quite a ways.
It really
she's
just
been basically manipulating her whole life.
Yeah, and it
in
really
like a really
makes
kind
you
of fucked up sense.
it really makes you distrust Gugu, and like I just didn't even like her by like the end, like especially the last couple of episodes. I don't know.
See, that's funny too, because like I had an inverse reaction to that, where because like I was intrigued by her secret past, and then when we learned the fucked up shit, I didn't trust her as well. But then it came back around to I was before we got into talking about Flora Chau Gugu, I was gonna say she's the heart of the show. I was about to lead into discussing her character as saying she is the heart that brings Gentry and her character up to make them strong. But now I kind of get why you don't like Gentry's character as much, because you don't like Gugu's character. Which, like, if you don't like those two, I'm really scared to see how we're going to be talking, like, what the feeling is going into, like, the latter half of the show.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I just had points, I think, watching this where
I do feel like she redeems herself at some point, where I guess you just didn't cross that, like, that barrier for you.
I don't know, because I mean, like, if we're just going full spoilers now, like last episode, I think, yeah, last episode, Gugu like dies for real, like she stops,
like her soul,
she
like,
dies as a
ascends.
ghost, so yeah, she's dead for real, and it's supposed to be like a nice heartwarming moment where like Gentry kind of forgives her, and I don't know, I couldn't get there, I couldn't get to the same point as Gentry.
I didn't tear up specifically for that scene. I thought it was nice, but I did fucking cry for the like the reunion of Chen and his daughter. I felt like that whole arc was very strong.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, because at one point in the show, I think this was another kind of issue I had was that
Is it Chen or Chang? I keep saying Chen.
Chang with a G.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah. I felt like it went super fast. Like simultaneously, like slice of life, nothing's happening, but also like no, like wait, yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. Like it's also
well, it picks up in the latter half. Like they start focusing more on the story in that point.
It's strange because it kind of feels like it kind of feels like you could have had multiple seasons like going through some of these plot points, because like at one point Gentry decides that she needs to go to the Underworld and like I do something, and it felt like that could have been a whole arc, but instead it's resolved in like a single episode, or
I love that
less.
episode though, where she
And
sees
then
she sees Flora's her best friend and shit, but she doesn't
her
know it at the
sister,
time.
her
Yeah, like her
sister.
sister.
Yeah.
Well, are they
Um,
like blood sisters?
yeah,
Is that
that's
ever
her sister.
confirmed?
That's like Gentry's grandmother.
I
Yeah.
don't think I ever got that. I thought that was just like Flora's best friend.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so there's just like times where like okay, and then another major plot point is that Gentry's mom isn't dead. Turns out Gentry's mom, uh, he so Mr. Chang, when Flora put the powers inside of baby Gentry, Mr. Chang straight up killed her dad. He's definitely gone. But then I don't know. Flora was like pleading with him. Gugu. She was pleading with Mr. Chang not to kill the mother, and so he doesn't. He erases her memory instead, and he stores her memories inside of like these pearls. I forget what they're called. It's some kind of pearls. And
Pearls?
yeah, the Shen pearls. That's right. Um, and so yeah, the mom is still alive. That's a big reveal. Like Gentry's like, oh my god, I thought they were dead. Um, okay, I got a quick tangent because I just remembered. Right, so Gentry goes. She decides that she needs to meet her parents in the underworld because if they're dead, this is before they reveal their mom's alive. If they're dead, that means that Gentry can go to the underworld and she can meet her parents as ghosts because Gugu, she can come to Earth because she is like a different thing, but most ghosts are trapped in the underworld. It's kind of complicated. Anyways, so she's like, I'm gonna go to the underworld and meet my parents. And so she meets them, and it's this nice little moment where they're like, Gentry, we can't believe like how, beautiful you've grown up to be. Not just like outside, but like as a person, you're everything we would have wanted from our daughter. And then they get back to the human world. And then there's something that happens, but then Gentry. Oh, okay, yeah. Gentry says she says to Ed, her like buddy, "Hey, if my parents are there in the underworld, I can break them out. I can just go and I can jailbreak them because I guess they're in some kind of like ghost jail. I can jailbreak them and I can take them home, and they can be living here in the house with us like Gugu." And that's when we find out, when Gentry re-enters the underworld to meet her parents for the second time, that she never met her parents. And that Gugu paid actors to tell Gentry what she wanted to hear. Like shapeshifter ghosts transformed into Gentry's parents to manipulate Gentry. That had to be like the nail in the coffin for me, where I was like,
It's bad.
okay, I can't defend you anymore, Gugu. I can't do it. That's fucked up. That's really fucked up. And
I just couldn't let go of the core because, like, I felt from Flora's character, I felt like she was doing it for the best interest of Gentry. I
well,
couldn't let go of that core,
like
and I'm
she,
like, yeah, she is manipulating her, and it is bad. She should just tell her outright, but
I mean, that's the thing is that like human
it's this whole thing where
relationships.
she'd have to sit her down for like hours and be like, okay, so this is what this is. This is why this is dangerous. Like all the
Look,
shit. It would be like this super long conversation. Where it's
human
like sometimes
relationships are
it's
complicated.
easiest just not say shit sometimes. I kind of get that.
Human relationships are complicated, but that's not. I can't.
It's a
I
lot.
can't.
I mean,
No, I
yeah,
can't.
it's bad.
So, anyways, as it turns out, Gentry's mom wasn't dead. Okay, her memories had just been erased and put into Shen pearls, and Gugu doesn't want Gentry looking into this or thinking about it. Gugu doesn't want Gentry to even know that her mom is still alive, and like Gentry has to use the Shen pearls in order to remember that her mom had her memories taken. I hope that made sense. Um, and so Gentry gets that memory, and she realizes her mom is still alive, and they track her down. And she wasn't even that far away. Like from where they're living, she was pretty darn
A couple walks
close.
down, like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Anyways, and so that's another point of contention of like Gugu says that she like tried to find her. No, she didn't. No, she did not. She would have
Well,
found her
I think
way
she knew the whole
sooner.
time.
Yeah, probably knew the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, and just didn't decided not to tell Gentry for some reason. And then they meet her, and she doesn't have her memories. And I thought this was my favorite part of the show. This like episode, maybe even like a episode after as well.
6 or 7, maybe.
But yeah, this whole bit where Gentry meets her mom, and they reconnect is really nice. I think it's really well done, and there's just like something about like I don't know the way that they painted this. It was the one part of like slice of life that I think was done really really well, where like you get this sense that like Gentry's mother, I cannot remember her name for the life of me, but you get the sense that her mother is living kind of like this peaceful life now. You know, like she doesn't have memories of her children, and she's kind of content. Like she's just like living as she can. She has her own little place. She's filled it up with a bunch of stuff. She paints as a hobby, and like she's hung a bunch of her paintings all around the house. And so when Gentry shows up, she has like memory of the idea of Gentry. I think, right? Okay, so something like she knows that Gentry exists. She just doesn't know. She doesn't have memories of raising her. Something
Right.
like that. I forget the exact explanation, but yeah. So Gentry shows
It's
up
kind
at
of
her
confusing
door.
because if she ever fully gets it back, then it's like, well, then she knows, right? And things
Yeah.
change, and then she just goes back to being like a Chinese spirit hunter.
Right. Right.
But they
Uh,
can't go all the way with that, so she remembers her kind of, but like the idea of her, and she
yeah.
doesn't consider her to be her daughter.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much what it is. Like she knows that Gentry is her daughter. She doesn't have her like memories of having a daughter though, or like any of the stuff that would connect a person to their child. And so they chat it out a little bit, and they're talking, and Gentry is like, "Hey, we have your memories. You don't have to take them back. We can, we can put them back in you, and you can remember me, and you can remember all of this, but you don't have to." And I thought that was like probably just like my favorite Gentry moment, because it's a difficult thing, I think, to have to for a person to have to go through, especially when they don't have to remember it. So
When you're faced with the
remembering
idea that you
you
could have your mother in your life, when you haven't had
right.
either of your parents your whole life, like that's
Yeah, it's a
you're
mature
asking like
decision.
you're asking the impossible here,
Yeah.
especially for a teenager, a 16-year-old or whatever,
Yeah,
to
and so
make that choice.
she says you don't have to take your memories back. And again, it's she would have to remember, one, that she had like the love of her life with her, and then two, that love of her life died right in front of her.
Yeah, and so like the moral dilemma here is like these memories would destroy her. She is a happy, content person. You add these to her life, it's just all misery and suffering.
And
Like,
stress and whatever else.
yeah.
Like she has to cope with the fact that like evil spirits are real, in like the blink of an eye. She just has to
That
remember
she hunted them.
that she hunted
That
them, and
like
she's
just to remember all like her bad like shit with Gugu,
yeah,
because she was
yeah,
distrusting of her too. Like kind of Gentry sort of becomes later,
yeah,
but like to a higher degree because she knows Gugu's in the fucked up like in between like the black markets of like Chinese spirit shit.
yeah, yeah.
She knows people who know people who are
Because
bad.
Gentry's parents were, they were kind of like bounty hunters. They're kind of
Kind
like
of, yeah. They would
Chinese spirit
exercise
bounty
like spirits
hunters.
for money.
I didn't totally understand what they were doing. I don't know. It wasn't important.
They would like they would sell rare materials, exercise spirits, that kind of
It was another
thing.
like
I
thing. It
guess
was another thing that Gugu lied
kind of cool.
about. Gugu would keep
Yeah,
telling her that they were just telemarketers who didn't know about the supernatural when they definitely knew about the supernatural. Uh, so that's just another Gugu thing.
I we're so far removed from the start of this conversation that I'm I was wondering, like, do you like any of this show?
No, okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so I was talking about how they meet up, and she tells her she doesn't have to take her memories, but she ultimately decides to take the memories. She decides to remember everything, and there's just a moment right when the memories come back, uh, and she gets all the memories like flooded inside of her brain, and then she just like looks over at Gentry, and there's just tears streaming down her face. And you know what? Me too. It was the one and only time that the show made me feel like emotional. I shed at least a tear, at least one, on that because I don't know what it even is really because I don't know what emotion that is causing in me, you know? But it's just like knowing that she has the memories again and that she sees her beloved daughter now grown up. She doesn't have memories of her being grown up. She just has this person in front of her that like because of her it's like the two different things. Like she has childhood memories of Gentry and her new life. And like she's just met this like 16-year-old that she doesn't know. And then these two like cross over into I don't know why I'm doing this. It crossed over into one and then it just causes like the tears in her and seeing that it's just like it's the love of the mother that is just so strong, you know, that I think is what affected me, you know. And I think it's just animated well. I think there's probably some kind of soundtrack going on that you know adds to it to make you cry.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my favorite scene in the show. I think that was really really good. Also, though, constructive criticism. This mother thing, where Gentry goes to meet her mother who doesn't have memories and is actually still alive. This could have been a whole season. This like of any if you're watching a different show, this would have been a whole other season. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like done in like an episode or two. And so like the starting point of the show and the ending point of the show very different. You know, you have very different kind of like I guess like what would you call that? Where it's I don't know progression.
I don't know, like it like naturally evolves in a way where I feel like a lot of shows kind of suffer from this,
It
where it's
evolves
like you
very
have to have
fast.
the plot progress, but when it's like a show that isn't greenlit for multiple seasons, it's more of like an indie project that they don't know how it's gonna do. They get one 13 episode like Netflix season, so they just gotta kind of have to make it a sort of complete story. Oh, whoops! But you can't tell like a really good completed story in 13 20-minute episodes. I mean, kind of there's some anime that's like,
I
oh, it still hits to this day, but you really gotta rush through a lot of things
I
in
think
that short like
I
span
think
of
they
time.
just needed to lock in more on whether they wanted to focus on the plot or characters because they again like I said they tried to do high school interpersonal stuff in the same episodes as like demon stuff and blending them doesn't give enough time or attention to either I think, you know. But that being said, I think there's another major topic that we can still talk about, which is Kit.
Okay, Skinwalker
Right.
boy.
Okay, and then also before we get into Kit, I will add that like as a K-pop fan, as somebody who follows K-pop, it's nice to have little references to real stuff. Like they mention
Did they do stuff with his character that was
right,
like
yeah, so
K-pop-y?
when Gentry first meets this character named Kit, he's the guy in our thumbnail. He's this handsome like Asian guy, and one of the things he says to her is like, "Are you excited for NCT 127's comeback?" And that's a real K-pop group. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool."
Oh, I must have logged that line as just like I
It's
don't know
nothing, you know.
K-pop.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
one of
it's
those
just
things.
like I don't know K-pop. This doesn't mean anything to me.
Exactly. Like they may as well have made it up. They could have said ABC 453. You know. And
Yeah,
that's
like literally, I did like you said it, and then like I remember him like lines like that, but it's just, like
Yeah.
it didn't log.
And
Yeah.
I think there's probably like one other reference that they made or something like that. It's not a big deal. Like it's not gonna sell me on the show just because I know that group. You know, I don't even listen to NCT, but it's just I don't know. It's cool to have a real world reference. And the actor for Kit actually he's not in a K-pop group. He's in a band though. He's in a band. I forget which one. I think it's Day 6. I think. He- don't quote me on that. He's in one of the like big Korean bands, uh, and I thought that was cool. I thought that was just cool.
I
Anyways,
know that.
so Kit as a character, I thought he was one of the better done characters in this show. I think like
I really like his arc.
I think Kit probably carried the early episodes for me, and then
It it's not even an arc that we haven't seen before. You know, the guy who has everything to prove, who ultimately like sacrifices himself for the greater good to like
yeah,
finally show he's truly good.
I think they
For people who would never believe it otherwise. But the way that they do it is nice. I really
yeah.
love Kit.
Yeah. So Kit is actually a type of demon. They call him a painted skin demon, where he basically just wears human skin. He has like an underneath like true form that is kind of just demonish.
Disturbing.
Hard to
Yeah.
really explain what he looks like.
Kind of like a
Like a
Chinese
skinwalker type.
Wendigo,
Yeah, he
I would
looks
say. Like,
kind of Wendigo-ish. Yeah.
yeah, he looks like a
Um,
Wendigo without the skin on, but then you put the skin on, he's like, that's just an Asian guy.
he's got like a droopy like ghost mouth and like all black skin and yeah, kind of like demony. You get the idea. But he wears a human skin, and I guess he like makes them. I don't remember if they said what he makes them out of, but yeah, he looks like a normal human when he wears it. Um,
They just
and so
say like they kind of they show him making a skin suit for
yeah,
somebody. I kind of forget, but
well
it's kind of gross.
he makes one of
It looks
Gentry.
gross at
He
least.
makes one of Gentry
Yeah,
so that he can
yeah.
pretend to be her. Yeah. Um, anyways, that's a different plot point, but yeah,
There you go.
he has an arc where he's basically a second love interest for Gentry, to create like the triangle of like Gentry, Michael, and Kit, and he's good in that way, but he's better because he has a better arc as like figuring out what he wants, figuring out
Right, because he
it's
starts off as like this sort of like he starts off as the post credits teaser villain. Because
yeah
originally, like he is under control by Shang
Chang yeah
or Chang, yeah, and he's saying like you have to kill Gentry. He's like, I'll do it.
yeah. So
Like
he's basically
he's like,
just like undercover. He's basically just an undercover
yeah,
agent for
and
Chang. Um,
he's reporting back to Chang throughout the episodes, being like, oh, I'm getting closer to her. Like eventually, I'll backstab her.
yeah,
So you're
yeah.
like, oh, where does he really lie? But he's probably gonna be
And
good.
it's just the thing that you kind of expect where he starts to interact with her more and what do you know he grew actual feelings for her and he likes her and he doesn't want to kill her, but it's nice and it's sweet and he's I don't know they're a little bit cruel to him, Gentry as soon as she finds
Oh, they are
out that
really
he's
cruel to him. I was just
yeah
like, this is fucked up. This is
it's
fucked up.
almost over the line where he is like shown Gentry that like he doesn't want to hurt her, but just because she knows that he's a demon of some kind, she cannot trust him at all. She's just like sworn on that like he's evil. He's fully evil. He
Yeah.
lied to me about his identity. He's been a demon this whole time. The skin he's wearing isn't even like a real human. Wow, that's crazy. I'm never going to trust him. And then he'll do things or like he does things towards the end of his arc where it's like okay I think that she can forgive him
Probably
now,
trust him now.
yeah, probably
Like,
trust him now, and she just doesn't, and it takes until he literally dies protecting her for her to actually forgive him.
like he does stuff where you could easily say that he is betrayed Chang at this point and is on
Yeah,
Gentry's side, and she'll still be like, no, you're a disgusting freak.
And
Like, get away
that's
from me.
and I think I read somewhere. I think like immediately after I finished the show, I looked a little bit on some sites, and I think I found a Reddit post that was saying that Gentry was really hypocritical for that. In regards to like she can't trust him, but she expects other people to trust her with like burning down the town thing. You know, because like they call her like the demon girl because she burned down the
Yeah, I
town
mean,
all
you
those
would
years
think of
ago.
anybody to have like empathy for a demon, it would be
Right,
her.
like
Everybody's
she
been
would.
calling, referring to her like kind of like that. Well, not her, but the idea of her, and what she
Yeah,
did.
and it kind of feels like they didn't think that part through super well. Where like Gentry shouldn't be this adamant about like hating Kit. I think, but it makes it more tragic when he dies. So I guess it kind of works.
Yeah, we talk about this, and it all makes sense, and all your negativity about it, like the negatives that you brought up, is true. Like you're right about a lot of the plot points, some of like the weird plot holes, and like the worst parts about the character writing. And yet, I still just ended up loving the show because I feel like I recognize a lot of these in the moment, but I'm just like a vibes person at the end of the
Yeah.
day, where it's like if I am riding the vibe wave, I'll just enjoy it all the way through,
I
acknowledging the flaws, but it's like I still love it.
I am just the kind of person I've come to realize that like I don't know that I can do vibes. I really don't. I feel like if I'm not if the character writing isn't sufficient enough, I kind of check out. Like there were times where I was watching the show and like my eyes would just like drift to my other monitor, like oh what's on Twitter? Oh shit! Oh fuck! Okay, go back.
Oh,
I don't
no.
know. It's unfortunate because again, like I said, I think like an hour ago at this point, I really wanted to like this. I really wanted to. I wanted the
Well,
first
yeah, and
episode.
and you
To,
said that like you got why I recommended it at the
yeah,
start.
I wanted the first episode to be like, the, what do you call it? Like the deciding. I wanted it to be representative of the rest of the show and like the representative of like what I thought for the rest. And
Right.
unfortunately it didn't end up that way. I still liked it. I don't think it was like I wouldn't say it was like a waste of time or anything like that. I don't think it was that bad.
Even after all the shit we've said, I still don't think I could even call it bad. I still think
I
at a
just think
base level, it is good. Just not the
yeah.
best.
It to me it feels like a huge waste of potential because again,
Oh yeah.
visually and like the soundtrack, we didn't talk about that enough, but like all the insert songs in the soundtrack, they put a lot of work into this show. It could have been really
I
good if they focused in on some plot points.
I'm nostalgic for the parts where we were talking about the music because like I that takes me back to the show too, and like yeah, there are bad things about the writing, but dude, like that music, it can really like take a scene and transform it to the next
Yeah.
level.
I
Like
just
take it up.
I wanted so much more and I think it could have been better. I just think that they fumbled the writing a little bit. And honestly, I don't know that I would want to watch this again. Like on a
Mm.
second viewing, I don't know. Because it just kind of, to me, it just kind of meanders a lot with its characters and its stuff. And it feels like it
I
creates. Go ahead.
I guess that I'm like a little bit more lenient with the whole like character meandering thing because I love slice of life, like how to
Uh,
say, like cute girls doing cute things genre. I know
see,
that's gonna
that's.
like speak a lot to my character and all, but I just like it when people are just like having a good time. And when a lot of these shows and like Gravity Falls and stuff, I can accept a whole bunch of episodes in a row where they're just like not progressing the plot. Like that's okay.
Well, and
I just
that's
think that I get
difficult.
how it's frustrating with Gentry because it's not like an even balance. It's more like they slow the show is slow at the start and then it ramps up way too fast at the end. And I get
Yeah.
that. I do.
I just kind of think that, like, I don't know that it had anything to say. I don't know that it was really, like, artistic in that way. It kind of was
Maybe
just like
not.
it was kind of just like a fun cartoon. And it's good for that. And I think a kid would love it. Like, kids
I
who
mean,
aren't
for
thinking
me,
critically.
we're Korean, right? But even then, we're not like tied to our Korean heritage. We have a very stereotyped sort of Asian American thing where we know just American culture
Yeah.
for the most part. And through anime and stuff, we have experienced a bit of Japanese culture, but even our own Korean culture is like very minimal. Um, and it's like I appreciated heavily the aspects of the show that could teach me about Chinese culture and
Yeah.
Chinese folk stuff, mythos, because I didn't know anything. Learning about DU was really cool, and at least from that angle too, that was also another aspect carrying me. Is like Chinese culture is pretty fucking sick. Actually, we don't
Yeah.
see this represented nearly enough in anything. Um, I wish I could learn more, and I
Well,
appreciated that it kind of like opened the doors for that for me.
yeah, and I quite like their portrayal of Zhang Kui, the like gatekeeper of the underworld. He's in
Oh
Smite as
yeah.
well, and like very different depictions in Smite and in this show. And I
Mhm.
thought he had a really cool design. Yeah, he was a chill character for what he was, and yeah, I like that. It is a nice. It's nice to see this type of thing, to see more representation of different cultures. And I think like, God, man, I just think about the potential of like what it could have been in a slightly better setting.
Yeah, I don't know what I felt at the end of the first season. I felt unsatisfied. Like immediately I was looking into like, is there gonna be a season two? And as
Yeah,
far as I can tell, there probably won't be. It's been over a year at this point, like a year and 2 months, and
it's like unlikely at this point.
well, like, because I mean, you know how it ends, right? As we're ramping up to the end of the discussion here, you know how the show ends.
Yeah.
It ends with her
Well,
and
it's
Michael
kind of like
having
a.
moved back to Seoul,
Well,
right?
is it that? Because I kind of got a little confused. I was like, is she
I think
gonna
I think
do
it was
half and
Seoul.
half?
Yeah.
I thought that she was gonna do like
No,
half and
no, like
half living.
well, like her whole life is in Seoul. She kind of gives it up for like a month or two, like at in Texas. But that's always been like a temporary plan for her. At the beginning, she was trying to get back to
Well,
Seoul.
with her mom, like, I mean, they the plan in like the last couple episodes was for her to move back with her mom,
Right,
um,
right.
and like Gugu was
I don't
stopping
know.
them.
I think I'm pretty sure she did go to Seoul with Michael. I think they moved there together. I could be wrong about that. I just know that
I
they're
mean,
moving somewhere new.
no, yeah, I definitely, I think I just misinterpreted it because they're like, we can get,
Oh,
I don't know.
we forgot to mention that Michael's girlfriend breaks up with him, and then they do get together in the last like episode or
Yeah,
two,
Gentry
and
and
then
Michael.
yeah, and then they're moving in together as a couple.
Yeah, and that was a big plot
Not
point in
necessary, but I was just like, I'll give the context.
that was like a plot point in the Kit storyline where Kit is like jealous of Michael and Gentry, and that just made it worse because like Kit is trying his best to, prove that he's a good guy and that he's decent and not a demon, and that he's not going to kill her, and then he's just jealous of Michael. It's messy.
Yeah, I feel like they went too far with the treatment of Kit, but also that like that was an interesting thing that they did with that because if they had just accepted him, then it would have been like anything else. But in this show, took like a firm stance of like, no, we're not gonna give you the ending that you want, like the happiness, and like it hurts. But like the reason we feel something deeply for Kit is because like he got the fucking shaft, dude. He got
Yeah.
the real life equivalent of the goddamn shaft. And that sucks. That
I think
deeply sucks.
there is a real life equivalent of a shaft.
You know what I meant. um,
Uh,
yeah, I don't know. Like, because if they had just accepted him into the group and there was like happy ending, I wouldn't have thought nearly as much about his character and like his sacrifices. They wouldn't have meant as much because he would have just been redeemed for like he proved himself and then he was good and like he would still been fine. But I still think about him now because I'm like, he didn't get the
yeah,
happy ending. He
that's fair.
died. He died with everybody hating him, not being vindicated in the slightest, and you're like, this sucks. But it's kind of
Yeah,
true to life sometimes, you know? Where like
yeah,
you're not gonna be praised for every good thing you do, and people oftentimes won't even see it, or even if they do see your good deeds, they won't see it from your POV and like the shit it took you to get there, so they won't understand the weight behind it or like what it meant, you know?
Right. Okay. That's a fair point. That is definitely.
I don't know. I mean, you could
I
still just be
agree
mad how they
with you.
treated
Like
Kid. That's valid. Like,
yeah. I don't know. He was a good character. Probably one of the better ones in the show, and he got the shaft. All right. Should we move on to ranking?
I I don't even know what else to say about Gentry Chau or Resident Evil. I think we got it out. I mean,
Yeah.
for me at least.
Trying to think if there's anything left on Gentry Chow that I missed. I don't think so.
I mean, there very likely is, you know, but when
Oh
you just
yeah,
start
yeah.
talking like a long time, you need like we
Well,
need a fresh pair of eyes, somebody on the outside to be like, oh, this you forgot this.
yeah. Well, we're not
Yeah.
gonna get that. So, nope. Okay. All right. Well, we're moving on then. So, like in Versus Wolves, we are gonna do our own ranking. They have their pantheon of greatness, which is their full ranking of everything that they've ever experienced with each other, or recommended to each other, I should say. We, as two battling snakes, are going to have our our den
Oh,
of treasures. So within our den of treasures is going to be all the things that we've recommended to each other, and we're going to rank. We're gonna rank them. It's not that. Yeah, I don't have to explain it that hard.
hell yeah.
All
Ranking
right,
the
we,
cool
we have
stuff.
we have two things. We have Gentry Chow versus the Underworld and Resident Evil Zero.
I guess we'll
I
start with Resident Evil since we talked about that
this is
first.
well, this is kind of obvious to me. I mean, we only have two things, so it's which one is over the other one. This is
Right.
kind of obvious to
Right.
me. What are you
Yeah.
thinking?
That's the thing. Like I cried during like the Chang and his daughter arc when that resolves
Right.
and
Yeah, we
his daughter's
didn't.
spirit can move on. Like it's beautiful.
We,
It's
we didn't we
genuinely like a
didn't
beautiful moment.
we
And
didn't
that's
actually
another one
get
of those
into
things that's
that.
really we didn't get into that. That is genuinely one of the things we missed. But like it's powerful. Like the orchestration is just like I
See,
felt a lot of
well,
shit there.
the reason we didn't get into it is because I didn't feel that much towards that storyline. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just not invested in like the final plot points as it's wrapping up, I guess it's not going to hit as hard. But I definitely was like, I
I
was
just
in.
I just don't think Chang was that you know good of a character, and like his daughter coming back was it's another one of those things that like reviving Chang's daughter could have been like a season arc. And I'm like, how is this just like a thing we're doing randomly in one of the episodes? I don't know. None of this stuff has proper build up, so I'm like, I don't know. She was there. She came back. She definitely came back.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean we've discussed it to death at this point. I don't know. I genuinely like I feel like I have a good understanding of like media literacy, right? And like writing tropes and all that, and that like I prefer when shows are paced well and all that. I mean, we've discussed this a lot so far
Yeah.
in this episode. But there are just some times with things like this where I just get too wrapped up in like I said, like the vibes of it all, where I was feeling the emotions exactly how they wanted it to be. I don't know. It was one of
Yeah.
those things where maybe it's because I watched it all in like 2 days. Like I watched a lot of it like one day and then the next day I finished it, you know, and I just had that
Yeah.
like consistent thing.
And let's not
Whereas US took it like 2 episodes at a time.
and let's not get it wrong here. This is not slander. I don't dislike Gentry Chow at all. I think if I had to give it like an out of 10 rating, probably like a 7. Like it is something that I liked, I enjoyed my time with, and I will remember parts of it from. I mean, it made me
Right.
cry. That's kind of a feat.
And that's why I'm saying like that's why I'm kind of making this distinction here between our experiences and like the circumstances because I would have given it a 9. It's like especially before we really got into it here, I would have definitely given it a 9. Now
Right.
with a critical lens, it's like probably an 8, but I still highly enjoy it and I could easily watch it
I
again.
mean, you don't
My
have to
thing
let
though,
my you don't have to let my view
no,
sway
no,
you.
you're right. But you're right though. Like I can't.
Yeah.
That's the problem with like media literacy and like critically analyzing things is that you kind of have to like see things from other perspectives and understand that like yeah, even your favorite shit is flawed. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that doesn't ruin my enjoyment of it, but yeah, it's not the peak thing that I had kind of remembered it to be. What? Oh yeah, One Piece. But yeah, I still think it's a wonderful experience, and I definitely do not regret sharing it. I think I will love it for years to come.
That's fair.
And
That's definitely fair.
at least at the time, like I said, it was one of the best things I experienced in 2024.
All right.
So with that, I am ranking this out of spot number 1
Wow.
in first place.
What?
In
What are we talking? What?
In
hold
the
on,
den
hold on,
of
hold on,
treasures.
Hold on. Let's talk about this. Let's discuss this.
Okay.
Let's. Hey. Don't do that.
I mean, it's the okay. I'm saying this exclusively in the framing. I'm not counting Resident Evil. I'm not considering Resident Evil yet.
Okay.
Because it's the first thing that we're ranking. It takes the first place. That's what I was going for.
Okay. I thought we were just gonna like how like when when you reveal second place, you also reveal first place. I thought you were doing that.
Right. No. I will say, without the context of Resident Evil 0, I would put Jentry Chau as number 1
we're
because
doing
it is by itself.
We're doing this the same way that they would on Versus Wolves. It's going to be our collective enjoyment of these things that decides the ranking. So I think it's obvious. It sucks to make jokes or mess around. Resident Evil 0 is going to take this one, right? I think we enjoyed this. I got more out of 0 out of you than you did, I think. But I think you enjoyed it enough that
I don't know. I mean, I do genuinely. I really appreciate 0 now. It was bad, but got good.
Compared to 1, how would you like? Are they close?
I would say it's pretty close underneath it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that some of the areas are as iconic as the Spencer Mansion, but I've played through that mansion like 7 times. Like maybe the reason I find it to be so iconic is because I've done so many runs of the game. You know.
Okay.
But I mean, let's be real. It's just more iconic. Like it is.
Yeah. Okay.
It just is.
So.
I don't know, but it is close. Like if Resident Evil's here, and then like this is like shit that is the worst media I've ever experienced, and like this is the absolute peak, and Resident Evil 1 is like here. Resident Evil 0 is like here.
Okay. So we're on pretty close playing field. So in that regard, I think it's pretty obvious then. We have to do Jentry Chau number 2. Resident Evil 0 number 1 for now. That's going to be our ranking.
Yes, I will say that because for you, Jentry Chau started off good with good expectations, and it got worse over time. My thing is, the Resident Evil got better over time.
It was just like a very like varying like peaks and lows and.
Right. I mean, I'm just like generalizing the experience like, for this analogy, but yeah, I think we got to give it to Resident Evil 0 as the number 1.
Our number 1. Piece of media in the den of treasures. Resident Evil 0.
Resident Evil 0.
Let's fucking go.
Can we get both like Pog face? Like,
all right, that's good. All right, so with ranking out of the way.
Oh God, here we go.
Ranking out of the way, that leaves only one section left for a book club podcast. We don't have a name for this. I don't know why I'm building this up. Because if we were them, we would be doing the dramatic recommend or die. We're just gonna recommend things to each other now.
Suggest or perish.
Oh. So suggest or perish. Holy shit. Okay, get me off this podcast.
Okay, so
suggest or perish.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Okay.
I started talking about Resident Evil first, so why don't you do the honors of having the very first recommend on the podcast?
I see where you're going with this. Okay, so I think we're gonna run.
And then like every episode we'll just like flip flop.
I think we're gonna run into pretty major issues with recommending
Right?
stuff to each other because we kind of know what the others experienced, so we don't really have like a
We don't
combo
have
breaker
like,
system like
yeah,
they
combo
would,
breakers.
because you know, that would mean that like I've he's gonna recommend something to me not knowing what I've seen or experienced, and then I could be like, oh, I've already done that or I've already experienced that. We kind of know already because we're brothers. So there's not gonna be like any of those probably. It's just gonna be like we recommend stuff that we know the other person already hasn't experienced. And I think I'm going to run out. So this podcast may have to like take breaks, depending on if we continue this. Because I'm gonna have
Experience
to.
things, brother.
I haven't experienced enough things. But I wrote down three things. I have three things on my list,
Ooh.
and I'm gonna be honest, I haven't decided on any of the three. So,
Even to, okay.
okay.
I mean, you can't tell me what they are though. You gotta just pick one and go with it.
Yeah, okay. So, I think we'll go simple. I think we'll go simple. I don't know if we're gonna have a lot to talk about by recommending this. So, this is something that I'm recommending not simply because I love it, but because I think that you will like it. I don't know that you'll love it in the same way or even with the same intensity, but it's something that I know that you like. It falls into a genre of like media that I know that you in the past have enjoyed. Okay?
What are you getting at?
This is something that definitely means a lot to me. It is something that I've, I guess, thought about a lot, revisited a good number of times, in some capacity or another, maybe not like fully all the way through. Um, but it's something that definitely does mean a lot to me and has shaped kind of who I am in a way. It sounds dramatic when you say it like that, and when people hear what it is, they're gonna think I'm a fucking freak, but that's all right. This is a piece of music. This is a piece of music that falls under a genre that you typically in the past have enjoyed, which is like rock music. Would you say right now that you enjoy rock music, like in general?
I will die on the hill that it's the best genre, sure.
Okay. No, I mean I know you're super into EDM and stuff, so in EDM and like your breakcores and whatever else.
I like EDM, but I like music from the whole spectrum, you know. But at the end of the day, alt rock, that's the shit I grew up on. Paramore, Linkin Park,
Okay.
Breaking Benjamin. That nothing will ever top that kind of
Okay.
music.
So this is something that I am almost 100% certain. I hope I didn't do all this build up for nothing. Almost 100% certain that you have not experienced, at the very least, like on your own in full.
If you recommend
This
to me
is
the entire discography of 21 Pilots, I swear to God.
okay. So what I want, what I want to recommend to you is the third album released by American rock band My Chemical Romance.
Oh, okay.
It is called The Black Parade.
Oh, okay,
Here's the
okay.
thing. Here's the thing. We have a little bit of history with this band. Back in like 2019, I want to say, I was getting really into MCR. And I tried to tell
I
you,
remember.
you got to get into this. Like, you have to get into this band because I know
And
you
like
like
I've
this
heard this
genre.
particular
And
song.
you,
Like I
yes.
know.
And so what you did, I remember specifically, you said, I have to start at the beginning. So you went back to their first album. I brought you my
Yeah, I
bullets.
remember that now. Yeah.
I don't love that album, that first album. I'm not really into it. I don't listen to those tracks anymore.
I feel like a
Second
lot of people
album,
don't.
yes, okay. Ooh, don't say that. It has its
All
shooters.
right, I don't know.
Second album, iconic, really good album. But I gotta say, like the big tracks from like the lead singles are what people really love from that album. Of course, diehard fans are gonna say the whole thing's great. I love the whole thing. It's not for everybody. Their third album, The Black Parade, which you know, Welcome to the Black Parade, you know that song. Um, it was their most successful by far. and you didn't get there. When you were listening, you listened to the first one, you're like, I don't know. Listen to the
I don't
second
even know
one,
if I
you're
went to this.
no, you
Did I go
did.
to the
I
second
remember
one?
this. Yeah,
Oh,
you went. I'm
oh.
pretty sure you listened to the second one too, and you were like, you know what? The second one's a little bit better, but I don't know. And you stopped, and I was like, oh, that is such a shame that he
Because it's like when I
stopped.
get into a musical artist, I like to get the entire history, like the whole discography, because
Yeah,
a lot of the times when you find one song by somebody, it can lead to a bunch of other gems.
yeah,
Now, unfortunately, more often than not for me, it's usually just they have the one banger and that's it, but
yeah.
sometimes,
But
the whole thing is bangers.
I just
Like
remember
uh like
thinking,
um like Lights. Oh, dude,
mm,
I when that recommendation comes in, I'm not spoiling anything, but
but
whew.
anyways, I remember thinking back then, God, it's such a shame that he stopped there. And I'm not gonna push him. I'm not gonna say you have to listen to the third album because he wasn't
Right.
feeling it. But now's the time. And I think this is one of very few albums in my life. Like this is a pretty basic bitch recommendation on the grand scheme of like liking stuff, like liking rock music. Because it
I
is
don't know any of those sort of is it wrong to say like 2010s emo punk bands?
yeah, well, I mean, MCR is a little bit before that. Like their last album came out in 2010, so they were more like just 2000s. But
Right. I always shelved this kind of band in the whole like this is the kind of band that the 13-year-old girls at my middle school would have listened to.
yes,
The whole like the scene kid type
it
band.
was, and it is, and it was, and the culture continues because partially because the music is so good.
Right. So whatever you
Not
want
just
to
this
call
album,
it, this
but
is yeah, whatever you want to call it, this kind of music is
I mean, I think
for like the alternative crowd, you
even
know.
like Wikipedia listed one of the many genres as like emo rock.
Yeah, emo rock,
Yeah.
goth,
It's
alt
not
punk,
necessarily goth because
whatever.
goth is
But
a
like the
whole
whole
subculture.
yeah, but in my mind, I like generalized it to like this kind of thing that wasn't really my vibe
Okay,
growing up.
right. But you like Paramore and you like Linkin Park
Gotta
and
love
you
Paramore.
like
Yeah.
very adjacent things. I think this is going to be something that you will come away. You're not a big album guy in terms of like you like a whole album. I think
Oh no, it's almost
you're gonna
impossible.
yeah
Like
you're
the
gonna
whole
walk
thing.
away. You're gonna walk away with I think like 5 tracks minimum that you really enjoy and that like you probably add to playlists. And
And like I've always felt like I experience music wrong because in my mind, when there's one song that really stands out, the rest have got to like work triple time to catch
right,
up. And
okay,
maybe that's
I
probably the wrong way to
well
go about it, but legitimately, like when I hear the best fucking song by a band, they've all got to be great in their own unique way. And it's weird how like some bands for me, like Linkin Park, has got like 5 absolute bangers on every single album except for The Hunting Party. That one's trash. But like other bands is like no, it's literally just the one song and the rest of the stuff they make is forgettable. Like I
yeah,
don't understand what qualities of music, lead to one or the other for me. I just know
right.
that a lot of the times it is that way. So I am really hoping that I can get through most of the album without being kind of bored.
Okay, yeah, okay. So my thing is I want you to lock in like when you're listening to this
No, I'm
because
gonna listen. Like I'm gonna
I
go sensory
no,
deprived, like lights off, just
not fully
listening.
sensory deprived. I want you to be reading the lyrics as you go
Oh,
because
okay.
this
I'm
is
gonna do that then. I'm
okay
gonna do that instead.
because this is a concept album. I mean, you know what that is, right?
Where they have like an idea, like a sort of
Like a
thesis behind
story.
the album,
Yeah,
where
kind of
like
like a
every
story or a
song kind of
thesis.
interlinks. Yeah, I get that. I
Yeah,
get that.
it's all kind of connected through the idea of the album. And so this is a
Right.
concept album called The Black Parade. And what the story is that there is this character. I believe they only refer to him as the patient. And he's a man, I believe they specify a man, in his early 30s. And he is dying. He is
Oh.
some kind of unknown, maybe, I don't feel important illness. And it's terminal. He's not going to make it. It's tragic, genuinely tragic. You know, just an
Rest in
early
peace, my
30s
homie.
guy. And this entire album is essentially, I don't know if it's fully about his thoughts. I don't know if it's all his thoughts, but it's mostly that's the gist. The gist is like this is a man who has not gotten to live the life that he wants. He's not gotten to experience all the things he wants to experience. He's being taken from this earth too early. And this is kind of like what he's thinking in the form of like angsty pop rock emo music.
Damn, that's kind of
And
sick.
I think it is. I definitely think it is. And the Black Parade itself um, is supposed to represent one of his fondest memories that he sings about in Welcome to the Black Parade of when his father took him to see a marching band. Um, and it, and so when he's dying for one reason or another, that memory of like the parade becomes, I guess, the representation for death. And so like when you join the Black Parade, is to die.
Right, and you're sort of like on like the death march, right?
Yes, you
Because I,
become one
I
of the
I
you
always
become one of the marching
because my
soldiers.
initial thought whenever I hear the words the Black Parade is like you're on like you're on the march of death, like you're on the way
Yeah,
to death's door.
I see. I don't know if there's like other references to the Black Parade as being like a representation of death. All I know is that that's what it is here. So there might be some other like mythical, like some kind of mythos about like the Black Parade being like a concept. I don't know. All I know is what it means for this album. And yeah, so
Right.
you become one of the marching soldiers of the dead to join the Black Parade, and then that's what the cover art is. It's just like the white kind of like scratch background, and there's just one of the soldiers just marching, and
I've seen
he's like
it.
a skeleton.
It's
Yeah,
iconic.
you know the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so just a little bit of like notes. There's music videos. We can discuss this like off camera. There are music videos. I
I'm
think
gonna watch the associated music videos.
yeah, I was gonna say I think one or two or three maybe might be like must watches. The other like two or three kind of you could do without. Like there's a
I
track
wonder if
called
I should do.
Teenagers. I don't think you need
Would
to
you
watch
say I
that
should do it
one.
without first?
What do you mean?
Like just would you say I should just have the lyrics pulled up first and then experience the music that way and then go back for the music
I think you could
videos?
do that. Yeah, I think you could do one full listen through while
Yeah.
reading the lyrics for each track, and then afterwards check out the music videos.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
probably how I prefer to do it anyways,
And
because I like to get the lyrics.
And so next episode we'll go through the whole album track by track and we'll talk about what you thought. If you even that'll be another talking point is like if we get to a track and you're like, what was that one again? That's gonna be a talking point because this is an album that I love.
You love every
Like
single one, probably.
every track on this album has had kind of like a phase with me where I'm like, oh, this song is so good.
Oh,
I
wow.
think every
Oh,
track,
wow.
except for like the first one, which is kind of introductory. But even then, I love
So
that one. That's a good one.
when we open the next episode and I'm just like, man, I didn't like a single song on this album. Was that
We'll
like an
we'll
early
talk.
start to like a villain arc?
We'll talk about we'll talk about what you didn't like. So we
I
will
don't
have
know. I feel like
we'll
I
have
probably,
content
I feel like
either
I probably
way.
will like it. We'll see.
We'll have content either way. I think that no matter what happens, if you don't like it, if you do like it, we will have something to say.
Okay.
But that does it for me.
Here we are. I was thinking about this, and there are going to be times where we recommend each other stuff that's kind of long. I gave you a show, a pretty short show that you could finish in a few hours. You did it in like a week. Fair
13
enough.
episodes, 13, 20 minute
Yeah, 13
episodes.
Not the craziest recommend. I could have recommended something that was like 20, 50 episodes, like a whole show like Game of Thrones that would have taken dozens of hours. But then, there's also like, I'm just thinking about it as like, do I want to start off with something that will enter
That will kill the vibe.
vengeance arc?
Are you gonna
That will kill the
vibe?
vibe. Like I just immediately open up with like, I recommend to you Homestuck, and you're like,
Oh.
no,
And then I say
no,
combo
like,
breaker because I've already read 4,000 pages. That counts.
I'm not, but I just want to say,
If you recommend me
before
the
I do
Chris
this,
Chan documentaries, I swear to God.
no, before I do this, what is kind of like a limit? You know, like, is there a
A
limit?
limit?
Do I
We're
just give you
asking about a limit? Are you starting a vengeance era?
No, like, I'm just saying for future
Why would
reference,
you
like,
ask me about a limit?
because like we could keep
Did
it
I ask
contained.
you about a limit?
Is this podcast only contained to shit that's like 5 hours or less? Are we pussies? You know, okay,
Dude.
you get Resident Evil Zero,
I
and
don't.
that's like a 15-hour
Okay,
game.
I
It's a
don't know.
little long, but
Okay,
what if
I
I
don't
went
know.
crazy and I gave you a 30-hour game? What if I
I
gave
don't
you
know.
an
Okay,
80-hour
look.
game?
I would say like a limit is like, if we're talking like media, I don't know, like 2 seasons. Like, okay,
I
because
would
like,
say no limits. I would say no limits.
oh my god, but like we're only gonna come back in like a month, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
no limits. What if I asked you to
no
watch all
limits.
of like? Okay, we've been going through Haikyuu like together, and we just finished season 3. Seasons 1 and 2, 25 episodes each, dude. Like, if you recommended me something that's as long as Haikyuu, I don't know that I could finish that in a month.
And this is why they cut it down into like seasons of shit on Versus Wolves, because they've probably thought
Dude,
about this quite a bit.
So why are you saying no limits? Just say what you
No,
want
I'm
to do.
saying-
Just say, we will figure it out when you tell me what the recommendation is.
Well, it won't apply. I'm just
What do you mean it
asking
won't
as like a theoretical. It won't apply to this recommendation.
You're just fucking with my emotions then.
Kind of.
You're just making me
Okay.
scared for nothing. Okay, cool.
So I've built this up, and now I should say it is less than 10 hours.
Okay.
The thing that I'm about to recommend to you, it is less than 10 hours, but it is the video game Cyberpunk Bartender Action Valhalla.
Oh, that's not what I thought.
You thought
said-
that was going to go up there. I left an intentional pause there. You thought I was going to
Yeah.
say 2077.
Yeah, okay.
No, that game is like 30 hours minimum, not even
Okay.
including DLC.
I don't even know why I have like a bad reaction to Cyberpunk 20. I just heard that it was bad at the start. I shouldn't be so judgmental.
You
I
just
haven't
probably
played
think it's not for you.
Probably.
But Cyberpunk Bartender Action, or I think it's like Cyberpunk Action Bartender,
Something
whatever. The point,
Valhalla.
it's called Valhalla. Like,
I've
that's all you need to know is that it's called Valhalla. That's the
seen, like,
main title.
I've seen like the title.
It
I've
is-
seen the logo.
It is a pixel art based visual novel where you play as a bartender named Jill, and the whole game is about like exploring building relationships as a bartender and like the regulars that come in and like the people that you meet.
Okay.
And so like a lot of the fun of the game can be like, oh, I like this person. Maybe I get them a little drunk. Maybe I put in like a little bit more alcohol in their drink this time. And then we get like some funny thing. Or maybe like that they're like a hardened, like this guy can fucking take the strong shit. So you give him something light, or you don't even try to fuck with his drink. You just give him exactly what he wants. Like, it's about like your own decisions, like who you want to form relationships with. And I think you would totally fuck with it.
Okay.
You haven't played a lot of visual novels of
I don't know
that
if-
kind of.
Really, any?
But my thing with visual novels though is that Phoenix Wright's a visual novel. Danganronpa is a visual novel. Steins Gate is a visual novel. Like, they're very different games, and like visual novel just means like a long story that you interact with. You know, with the where the gameplay is mostly just clicking. And it was absolutely one of the best experiences that I had in 2025. That I still think about all the time. Iconic music. This game means a lot to me. It's like it really shouldn't. It really is just kind of, I don't know, silly, but it's you'll see, you'll experience it. It's impactful.
I think I've seen screenshots. I've seen the logo. I have an idea of like what the game looks like. I think, and it does look cool. So I am.
The pixel art is gorgeous. Like, we'll talk about that, but
I think I'm looking forward to that. That sounds actually interesting. That sounds fun.
it's pretty cheap. Like, you're not gonna break the bank over this game. Like I said, it's relatively short. I think it's about 10 or less hours. But I don't know. And, you know, there is like additional side content. You could go for achievement hunting.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, fair. But I really just think that you know you like character driven experiences,
I do.
and this game is literally all of that. Where if you don't vibe with the characters, you don't jive with them, you don't fuck with them, it will be a bad time. But I don't think the people like generally, I don't think the people who would download and install a game like Valhalla will come out of it thinking the characters are weak, because I think they're very strong
Okay. Interesting.
in a way that like if I had asked you or you had asked me about Gentry Chau, I would have been like, yeah, I like the characters, but I wouldn't have been able to say much. I have a lot to say about all of these characters.
Right, right. There's different layers to like
Yeah.
characters. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I guess that kind of does it. So I think we should stick with a month. I think that is a good format. I think it gives you time to sit with things. So the only
Yes.
problem is that like one album you can do in like an hour. So you're gonna
I know.
have to like find the right kind of time throughout the month to just sit
But that's
down.
the thing.
And have this
I'm
one-
not going to do it in like I can't shotgun music. Like for me, I can take
Ooh.
in like throughout my entire life, what's happened for me is I can take in like one good song at a time,
Okay, but
and then the rest.
What if I
Like
say
even
that's
if another
the,
song would have entered that slot, what?
What if I say that that's the experience though? That you have to do the full album. Because
Okay, then I'll do it. But
that's how I envisioned it. It's kind of like
you have
go
to
through
know
the-
that my experience with music is that if I listen to the entire album, I will probably think lesser of each individual song and then like just highly praise the one.
Okay, so what would you would rather like if you were doing it your own way? You would just like listen to a track and like read the lyrics and let it breathe, and then like come back another day.
It's not even just the fact that we have a month to do it. I just feel like every time there's an artist that I love and I go into their discography and I shotgun an entire album, I forget a lot of the album. The music doesn't sit, and any of the bangers, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I mean, it was good, but this one's also kind of good. Like, I need time to really like think about a song and like let it become an earworm and like get in my brain to really be like, okay, this is an amazing song outside the context of like the album. It's amazing in its own right.
Okay.
I can't really reach that point listening to an entire album at once.
Okay,
Because like I
think
get this
that's-
thing where the whole band starts feeling like samey. You know, like each
Yeah.
individual song, I'm like, oh, this is from the
That's
same
fair.
band. It's like the same thing, just slightly different.
That is
That
fair.
irks me a little bit.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that for sure. Okay. I think do it how you want then. Do it, especially since we are giving ourselves a month. Do it how you'd like, and preferably.
I mean, at most it would be like, like I could do like 2 songs a day,
Yeah. Preferably.
or
I
like
would wanna-
at worst, I could probably do like 3 or 4 a day. But if we're talking like 6 or plus songs a day, that's a lot of music to think
like
on.
ideally, I would want to hear like written notes for each track, like what kind of like whether you liked it,
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
like it, certain things, certain lyrics, whatever.
Well, because if I just come in here saying like, oh, this song was good, this song was
Yes.
bad, then we'll
Yeah.
be done talking about it in like a few minutes.
And like we can have.
I mean,
shorter
you won't,
episodes,
but I would, and that would suck.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now that that's done, I guess I mean, there's nothing left to say except I'm Toby,
I'm Rara,
and we are
and we are Battle Snakes.
Snakes!
Whoa, yeah, let's go! First episode, Battle Snakes.
All right.